Thank you, Greg. Good morning. The Foreign Affairs Minister has told the Dáil the proposal by the British government to introduce an electronic travel authorisation system could have serious consequences for Donegal. The issue was raised in the Dáil last night by 3 Donegal opposition TDs who highlighted their belief that this would compromise the cross-border freedom of movement which is enshrined in the Good Friday Agreement. Concern was also expressed that this could lead to the reintroduction of border checks. Minister Simon Coveney told them a House of Lords amendment which would have exempted the border from the scheme was rejected, but it may come before the Commons again. And he said the government will be pushing to ensure it's accepted this time.
The introduction of the proposed ETA scheme for cross-border journeys could cause considerable disruption to the daily lives and livelihoods of many people. It's clear that border counties such as Donegal would be particularly affected. Most journeys to and from Donegal naturally cross the border. Since this proposal emerged, the government have been engaged with the British government at both official and political level to express our serious concern with regard to the proposed ETA scheme. There is time to try and change this, and I can assure you we will be very active in our attempts to do that.
And you can see that full discussion on our website, highlandradio.com. Ukraine's military says Russian pledges to scale back operations in 2 key cities are an attempt to mislead. The Kremlin is withdrawing forces from the outskirts of Kiev, but Western officials believe they're being redeployed elsewhere. Russia's announcement came following peace talks with Ukraine in Turkey. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has welcomed progress, but says Russia still can't be trusted.
We can call the signals we hear from the negotiating platform positive, but these signals do not drown out the blows of Russian shells. Of course, we see all the risks.
Irish workers will be entitled to mandatory sick pay for the first time under new laws. The Cabinet has approved a bill which will give employees the right to take 3 sick days by the end of this year. That'll rise to 5 next year, 7 the following year, and 10 by 2026. They'll be paid at a rate of 70% of a worker's wage to a maximum of €110 a day. Taoiseach and Enterprise Minister Leo Varadkar says the change is being made for a number of reasons. And Donegal County Council is being urged to complete work on a listed bridge in the Twin Towns. The bridge, which links Ballybofey and Stranraer, had deteriorated a number of years ago, and Donegal County Council carried out some repairs along with the TII on one side. When works in the area began on other projects, the bridge work was suspended to minimise disruption to the local community. But Councillor Patrick McGowan says it's now time to return and finish the job.
There's some very unsightly poles, ESB, carrying ESB wires and lights, and that actually, and one's actually coming out of the bridge itself, comes out through the parapet wall, and that has to be removed. So there's a lot of to and fro with different agencies, but my understanding that's been long sorted out. So it's time now that they actually go on and finish the job.
Looking at the weather forecast, mist and fog clearing this morning, showery rain spreading from the north with some much colder weather. Top temperatures today no higher than 5 to 8 degrees Celsius, with some rain and potentially wintry showers during the day. Drier, brighter weather will follow in the late afternoon. Tonight it'll be cold and frosty, mostly dry with minimum temperatures of -3 to 0 degrees Celsius. Back with news in full at 10 o'clock.
Hey.
You're doing great.
Everyone needs a boost sometimes.
Is it time for yours?
COVID-19 can still cause serious illness in people who are high risk, and in those who aren't.
So even if you've already had COVID-19, your booster vaccine can protect you from getting it again.
And make your symptoms less severe if you do.
Everyone aged 12 and over can now get a booster vaccine.
Check if it's time for your booster and make an appointment on hse.ie.
For us all, from the HSE.
The 9 till Noon Show, brought to you by Kelly's Toyota. Test drive Toyota's incredible self-charging hybrid range at our showroom, Port Road, Letterkenny.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello, a very good morning. 4 minutes past 9 this Wednesday, the 30th of March. You're very welcome along to the programme. I hope you are well, and I hope you're with us now at least for the next 3 hours here on Highland Radio. Coming up later on in the programme, it's Wellness Wednesday. We're going to be focusing on motor neuron disease, particularly, of course, for the week that's in it, as many of you out there prepare to engage in walks or climbs, supporting Charlie Bird and his support of motor neuron disease charity, and of course Pieta as well. The weather for Saturday is looking okay-ish, showery it seems, showery and a bit chilly, but nothing that should put anyone off if you've got the right gear. There's that and so much more besides on the way. But let's start with a look at the newspapers this morning, and we'll kick off with the Finn Valley Voice. The census of this Sunday, April 3rd, 2022, will be a landmark census. The Republic of Ireland's population will pass the 5 million mark for the first time, according to United Nations forecasts. The current UN estimate is 5,035,000 odd, up from 3 million in 1973 and 4 million in 2004. The estimate indicates a 10% rise from the 2010 figure of 4.5 million. It remains to be seen if the Finn Valley, which is the focus of this paper, of course, will share in the general rise. Donegal's population in the last census shrank by 1.2% more than the entire population of Killigordon and Raphoe combined. We'll see if those shrinkages are reversed. The Inish Times has an interview with Paddy Diver today, describing him as straight-talking, 100% redress campaigner. Paddy Diver says he is stepping back from the group because his good name is being dragged through the mud on social media and he cannot take it anymore. In an exclusive interview with the Inish Times, Inish's redress totem added he was both heartbroken and disgusted his involvement in the campaign had to end in this way. 2 pages dedicated to that on the inside of that paper today. The Donegal Post, the 2022 national census, which was delayed last year because of COVID-19's pandemic restrictions, will confirm on Sunday next how much the Donegal population has increased over the past 6 years, though we're going to have to wait quite some time before we find out the details of it. It will also indicate how the multicultural dimension to our population is becoming more diverse and greater ever over this generation. Indeed, the population diversity is altered radically in just one generation, according to Caerloch of Donegal County Council, Councillor Jack Murray. Speaking at the launch of the first ever strategy for black and minority ethnic inclusion for County Donegal in recent days, he said the 2016 census indicated that 7.2% of the population of the county, or 11,477 people, were born outside the state. I would be amongst those, though, that being said. I'm sure many others as well. The Irish Independent: pension reform needed to pay for generation rent. The government has conceded that the new auto-enrolment pension scheme is needed to help pay for rent for the increasing number of older people who will not own a home when they retire. And this is the knock-on effect, you know, in the here and now. People can't get on the property ladder. People can't get their own property. People can't build a house on their own land, okay, and end up in the rental market, long-term rental market, and then as they reach retirement, they don't have a home of their own. So you pay for the problems of today down the line. They don't go away. A confidential cabinet memo states the scheme will be particularly important as home ownership rates decline. An increasing number of older people will need sufficient income to meet rental costs during their retirement years, the memo states. It comes as Social Protection Minister Heather Humphreys outlined the details of the new auto-enrolment pension scheme, which will see the government pay €1 for every 3 an employee saves. For the retirement, employers will be required to match employee contributions up to 6% of the salary below €80,000. The rate of home ownership in Ireland has been steadily declining for decades, with the most recent CSO figures showing it had fallen from a peak of 79.3% in 1991 to 68% in 2016. And we'll see, of course, from the next census where it goes from there. But that's a huge drop, isn't it, from 80-odd percent of home ownership down to 68%. On to the Irish Times now, and perhaps there is some light at the end of the tunnel on the horizon as it relates to the war in Ukraine. There does seem to be some progress in talks between Ukrainian and Russian officials. Now, of course, everyone's going to be skeptical, because, of course, as the Russians built up their forces on the border of Ukraine, they all the while denied they had any intention of a mass invasion. But that did, of course, come to pass, and there is other history there. But be that as it may, you know, anything that seems to be progress, I suppose, has to be welcomed. And it's interesting to note that if you listen to different politicians from within Ukraine, and of course it's like every other country, there's going to be differing opinions, but you know, there's a difference of opinion as to what it would take to secure peace, whether or not the Donetsk region and Crimea could be given up, or at least a period of time, 10, 15, 20 years, to determine its future, if that could be a basis for peace. But others would say, you know, we can't give up 1 inch of territory because if we do, well, that just sends a message to Russia that if you invade, eventually you get what you want. So even within Ukraine, there's different views as to how these talks might progress. But in the first meeting with Russian officials in almost 3 weeks, Ukrainian negotiators at talks in Istanbul flagged territorial concessions for the first time in what Russian officials described as meaningful negotiations. Deputy Defense Minister Alexander Fomin and Moscow would create the necessary condition for future negotiations by reducing dramatically military activities in the direction of Kiev and Chernihiv, 150 kilometres north of the capital. But of course, then you have the White House saying that there has been some pullback, but it could simply be the Russians, repositioning. The Irish Daily Mail today, central bank warning on mortgages. Banks are being warned to act on nearly 40,000 customers who've mortgage arrears unpaid for more than 90 days, with property prices soaring close to Celtic Tiger levels. Banks have also been ordered by the central bank to be extra vigilant in dealing with new customers who begin to fall into arrears. Central Bank Director Jerry Cross said the problem was also causing deep stress for homeowners struggling financially and needs resolution. It comes as the Taoiseach Micheál Martin said the rising cost of food and energy will continue right through to the end of the year, and warned that the government cannot be bringing in separate measures every week. Why don't you just bring in a raft of good measures one week and take the rest of the year off? That would be one option as well. Rather than firefighting, look at the situation and say, what can we do now to mitigate as best we can what is going to happen? No one's asking them to do it every week, to read the papers and say, let's clip 1% off that. Don't want that. Come up with a plan like you did with other issues. I don't think that's an unreasonable request. I just wonder what this means, though, for these 40,000 people. Obviously, they're already under pressure, but does this mean that the central bank, their message to banks, does this mean the banks are going to get tough with these people? In terms of we've all been there, the letters and the threats and the warnings and, the anxiety that causes. The Irish Daily Star today tells us today that detectives investigating the murder of Michaela Mcgreevy from Tyrone, of course, in Mauritius, have arrested a former security guard at the hotel where she was killed, his lawyer has said. The lawyer for Dasan Narayan told reporters that his client was detained yesterday. Vikash Tilugdhari said Narayan was questioned about the allegations of theft of the Legends hotels from the Legends Hotel around the time of the County Tyrone teacher's murder on the Indian Ocean island. He said his client denied any wrongdoing. Following Mrs. Mcgreevy's killing in 2011, Narayan was initially charged with conspiracy to murder, but that was later reduced to a larceny charge, and that larceny charge was struck out in 2013. I do wonder how it must feel for Michaela's family. Those little bits of news information, wondering will it get anywhere or not. On to the Irish Sun now. Health Minister Stephen Donnelly, this is quite an interesting comment from him. And it's kind of what we were reading between the lines of yesterday. When we said he clearly doesn't think that masks on its own would have any meaningful impact in stopping the spread of COVID, and therefore no point introducing them. That's what his view is. That's what Tony's telling him. Well, Health Minister Stephen Donnelly went further then later in the day to say that only a full lockdown will halt the COVID surge, but no new restrictions are planned. So in other words, they believe that only a full lockdown would have any impact on the virus's spread, any meaningful impact, and they're not going to go down that route. But he urged people who have not had a booster to do so, as the hospital system is under severe pressure. Mr Donnelly added, there's no consideration of bringing in new measures. The Minister said the BA.2 variant, which had been gaining ground fast in Ireland, is so transmissible, only a full level 5 lockdown could beat it. However, he said only around half of patients in critical care have been boosted, and urged others to get the jab. And that number actually fell yesterday in terms of the overall number. Fell to 50 yesterday. Sinn Féin Health spokesperson David Cullinan said the public health advice was for no change, and we have to accept that. He said after tackling Mr Donnelly on the issue. He's saying that the advice from the CMO at the moment is no change. So tinkering around the edges with restrictions is not going to make any difference because of the transmissibility of the disease, which means the only option is for a full level 5 lockdown, and that is not an option that is being considered. Back pages of the papers today, of course. Ireland have extended their unbeaten run in international football with a late winner against Lithuania yesterday. Very finally now, As we mentioned, the Taoiseach admitted yesterday that price increases on food and energy will continue right to the end of the year. In the Mirror, Micheál Martin was responding to Sinn Féin Chief Mary Lou McDonald, who called on the government to intervene again to help households who are struggling with soaring bills. OK, that was a run through of the newspapers. We'll be back with more. Our first guest, in fact, after the break.
The newspapers are courtesy of Kelly Centra, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
You could run, you could dance, or you could just breathe. The Bernardo's Big Active, supported by Aldi, is happening in schools across Ireland right now, and it makes doing good feel great. It gets classmates of all ages active while supporting their mental health and well-being. The Bernardo's Big Active, supported by Aldi, will raise vital funds to help Ireland's most vulnerable children. Sign up today at thebigactive.ie.
Hi, Dad.
Just popping on to say hi, love.
How did you manage to video call?
I'm a bit of a computer whiz these days.
I can see that.
And it's not just video calls. With Hi Digital's free online course, Paddy also learned to do the grocery shopping. And you can too.
So how are you, Dad?
Hang on, I've a very funny gift to send you. Or is it GIF?
Learn essential online skills today at highdigital.ie. Brought to you by Vodafone Ireland Foundation, Active Retirement Ireland and Alone. Vodafone, together we can.
Don't forget to make inquiries about the fantastic offers we currently have across the range of Nissan and Kia, with PCP options available on all new vehicles. We have your new car sitting ready to go. To find out more, call iMotors Letterkenny and Malin today on 074 9134 or visit imotors.ie.
With the brighter days, it's only natural to think about freshening up the paintwork in our homes, bringing colour and vibrancy to our living spaces. But the important thing isn't just the colours we choose, it's the paint. Fleet Wood use the highest quality ingredients for a richer colour and smoother finish that lets you wipe away the marks of everyday life. And it's Irish made, designed to work with the ever-changing Irish light. Would one range of paints transform your home? Fleet Wood would. Naturally.
This Saturday, Paul McDevitt will be live from Homeland Letterkenny to mark the start of their series of Super Saturday Garden events in April. Special guest Gareth Austin will hold a garden clinic with planting demos. Offers will include buy two, get one free on shrubs and bedding, 20% off ceramic pots, garden tools, feeds and more. Someone will also win a Faro furniture set worth €350. All happening this Saturday at Homeland, Letterkenny's first Super Saturday Garden event.
OK, so as we would be aware, and as you may have heard in our interview yesterday with Sinn Féin Deputy Pádraig McLaughlin, the INMO are calling for public health measures to try and tackle the rise in COVID cases and its impact on the health system. Those calls are falling on deaf ear from with both opposition and government parties. And also, I referenced yesterday the Emergency Department Task Force. It's requesting public health measures are reconsidered by the government. But as you've also been hearing, Stephen Donnelly seems to be ruling that out. He says it's level 5 is the only thing would have any impact. Well, Dr. Fergal Hickey is president of the Irish Association of Emergency Medicine. He joins us on the programme now. Good morning to you, Dr. Hickey. How are you keeping?
Good morning, Greg. Well, I'm fine, but every emergency department in the country is under huge pressure, and this has been unrelenting for a long period of time, but we've got a perfect storm. We've got large numbers of patients with COVID in hospitals, some presenting with COVID, some happen to be found to have COVID subsequently. We have significant staff shortages because many staff are off because they've contracted COVID. We have typically between 400 and 660 patients on trolleys each day for the last few weeks, and essentially it's intolerable and something needs to be done about it.
The message, though, it seems coming from all sides of the Dáil is that, you know, if you wear a mask, but it's not mandatory, of course, and there doesn't seem quite as much emphasis on, encouraging vaccine uptake. Is that a worry?
It is a worry. I mean, I get a sense, and certainly the commentary from Stephen Donnelly would suggest that they're taking an all-or-nothing approach. In other words, they're either going to go the whole hog, which they clearly have no intention of doing, or they're going to do or say nothing, and I think that's not acceptable. You know, we have done very well in dealing with this pandemic, given the capacity problems that we know the health service suffers from, And now when we get to the point where we have record numbers of people in hospital, everybody's saying, oh, well, sure, there's nothing we can do about it. That isn't good enough. I think we need to be clearer in strongly recommending to people that they wear masks in all indoor settings, particularly things like public transport, particularly things like retail. We have maintained the mask mandate in hospitals. We do get some blowback from some individuals about it, but most people eventually comply when it's pointed out to them that the alternative are that they won't be seen. But I don't think it's acceptable to go from everything to nothing, and that seems to be the current situation. Nobody is suggesting that we can actually conquer this variant of Omicron, but what we're trying to do is trying to reduce transmission, and by reducing transmission, reduce the number of staff that have to be off sick as a result, and reduce the number of patients who are coming through the front door.
And of course, right from the very beginning of this, and the phrase was, weaponized and used, but the whole notion right from the beginning of flattening the curve was there was an inevitability that people were going to get it, but it was to slow the rate, so to ease the pressure on the hospital system. That's what the whole flattening of the curve was about.
And that was based on the fact that there's lots of evidence to show that our bed capacity, our acute bed capacity, was inadequate before we started. Our critical care capacity was inadequate before we started. Our infrastructure is poor, therefore our capacity to isolate people from one another is very poor. So we had an even greater need to flatten the curve than many other jurisdictions. Obviously, we're familiar with our colleagues across the water in the UK. They have struggled with this, but other countries in Europe that have better infrastructure than either of us have, and that have better critical care capacity, they struggle to deal with this. But we are, because of our poor capacity, and that's something that's replicated in the NHS, we're particularly vulnerable, and therefore we have a greater need to flatten the curve than other jurisdictions.
Some might say, though, that a lot of the problems that you listed right from the beginning are historic. How big of an impact is COVID on how hospitals are running at the moment versus how hospitals would be running anyway because of the likes of, particularly here in the Northwest, staff shortages and what have you?
The impact of COVID is huge and cannot be underestimated. I mean, about half the people who come in with half the people with COVID come in with symptoms of COVID. The other half are found to have COVID when they turn up for other reasons, like they fractured their ankle, or they've got appendicitis, or a bowel obstruction, or a heart attack, or whatever it be. But COVID has a massive impact because it is transmitted from patient to patient. It's transmitted from patient to staff. It's potentially transmitted from staff to patient. So we have outbreaks on many of our wards in most of our hospitals, and we have a lot of staff off, not because they're COVID contacts, but because they've actually contracted COVID. So the impact of COVID is enormous. Now, it's not an excuse for the failure of successive governments to deal with the capacity problem. That needs to be said. But it means that the impact of COVID is magnified in an Irish context.
Okay, we're hearing from yourself, Dr. Hickey, and we're hearing from the INMO and others working within the system. And up to now, the government is not taking on board your concerns or that of the IMO in an actionable way, right? And what we heard from government people we've been interviewing and opposition people we've been interviewing is that, well, we're following the CMO's advice. This is what Tony Holohan is saying. So why is there such a difference in, say, for instance, the likes of your opinion as a medical professional and Dr. Tony Holohan's? Because they have the letter from Dr. Tony Holohan that really covers them not to do anything.
Well, first of all, they have stood down NPHET. So, the broad constituents of NPHET are no longer being heard. I think that's a pity. It's not that we ever thought that COVID had gone away. I think stepping down NPHET seems to have been a triumphalist move that we've actually got past this when the reality was we hadn't. I mean, I haven't seen Tony Holohan's advice. I'm told that he has offered advice, but Tony Holohan is a single individual, whereas NPHET was a much larger organisation and that had expertise from a number of sources. So, it would be a pity if, after Tony Holohan's excellent stewardship of this for the last few years, this was all being put on him, whereas he had the advantage of having a group of experts who he was able to chair that group and offer their consensus opinion to government. But we haven't seen what that advice is. We've been told that the advice is there's nothing you can do. I suspect Tony Holohan didn't say anything as glib as that. But what he has probably said is that short of going back to a full restriction, we can't conquer this. But nobody's asking for this to be conquered. We're asking for the curve to be flattened.
Mm-hmm.
So we're asking that the health service isn't allowed to be run into the ground, which currently is the situation. The clinical staff involved in this have been doing this for 2 years. There's a limit, and I said this yesterday in another forum, that as far as I'm concerned, the elastic band has actually snapped. And that is what we need to protect against. That what we don't want is large numbers of people say at this point, I can't keep doing this, I need to leave, I need to get out, I need to go to somewhere that's less pressurized, because the impact of that on emergency departments is going to be catastrophic.
Mm-hmm. Now, and I understand that people who want this to be behind us, maybe they've recently had COVID, they got over it and they're fine now, and maybe people feel they're bulletproof, and I get that, and I don't think anyone wants to be in a position that we have to go back to wearing masks, and I respect that, but we can't ignore what's happening in our hospitals. And let me ask you this finally then. You know, the thing with the sort of big break in public health messaging that I'd have a concern with, and I'm not medical at all, is that we are dealing with, thankfully at the moment, a population that is heavily vaccinated and quite heavily boosted. And you know, it's warmer. Maybe that helps us, but we could be heading towards a situation whereby another variant may come along. Vaccines may begin to wane. Maybe the climate might have a negative impact as well, or not. I don't know, of course. But we've lost the train of public messaging. Does that make sense in that? I just wonder if we think the freeway's moving really, really clear now when it's really quite clogged, but we are facing, gridlock in the hospitals and in public health because it's going to hit us like a wrecking ball in a couple of months' time.
Well, that would be my concern, Greg, is that, this particular subvariant of Omicron is particularly transmissible and particularly contagious. That's not to say that there isn't one coming that's even going to be more transmissible and more contagious, but has the greater capacity to actually kill or cause serious illness for people. I think we need to bear in mind that many of the people in hospital, I think you said it in your introduction when you were talking about the newspapers, is that many of the people in intensive care are not boosted. Many of the people in hospital are either partially immunized or not immunized, and that's something we need to address. I mean, there is still a group of people out there who, for whatever reason, have concluded that they do not need to be fully immunized. This is crazy stuff, because not alone have they the capacity to be seriously ill and potentially die as a result, but they have the capacity to transmit it to their loved ones, who may end up being far more vulnerable, and even though that they've been vaccinated, their medical vulnerabilities may trump the capacity of vaccination to protect them.
Dr. Fergal Hickey, thank you very much this morning, President of the Irish Association of Emergency Medicine. And the reason we have to talk about it, and we have to, is that anyone who's been through the hospital system recently, not anyone, but many of you will know what we're talking about here. We're talking about a very, very difficult situation, people under great pressure, huge delays, and in some cases people feeling that, and I'm not talking necessarily about Letterkenny University Hospital, feeling that they went in and they were sent home and they didn't really get all the tests and all the checks that maybe they thought they needed to go home assured that they're going to be okay. And, you know, these are people who work in the hospital system and their voices cannot be ignored. But as I say, it's not a conversation we necessarily want to return to. But as I said, and I'm sorry to keep repeating that phrase, it can't be ignored either. These are people that work in hospitals and are the staff that we rely on to make us better. Right, okay, we've more great guests on the way after these messages.
The 9 till Noon Show, brought to you by Kelly's Toyota. With over 45 years of experience, trust us to help you on your electric journey.
Are you tired of waiting for treatment or surgery? Did you know you can receive immediate treatment across the border under the new NI planned healthcare scheme at potentially no cost? Donegal patients are still being treated with us at Kingsbridge Private Hospital Northwest post-Brexit. The process is easy and our dedicated team will help guide you through it. So why wait? Contact us today to find out how you can skip the waiting lists and receive treatment in Northern Ireland. Visit kingsbridgeprivatehospital.com, because life matters.
Are you working in a sector experiencing change? Contact your local education and training board to explore e-college online courses available to you through Skills to Advance. Choose from a range of online courses in digital, programming and business areas to improve your skills or learn new ones and create new work opportunities. Skills to Advance is a national initiative offering highly subsidised reskilling and upskilling opportunities for employees and employers. Brought to you by Solus and the Education and Training Boards, an initiative of the Government of Ireland.
Break free from the same old, same old. Join a community where people can grow and be at their best. Join ZincWorks and develop software for the biggest companies in the world, working with 5G and financial services. We value learning. We want you to be a better engineer every day you work with us. We value teamwork. We want you to learn from your peers and help your peers learn. We're hiring now for our new offices based in Letterkenny. See zincworks.com/careers.
The award-winning Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic Idor offers the most advanced skincare treatments for men and women, treating conditions such as acne, skin tags, rosacea and scarring. As a qualified aesthetics practitioner, Mary Ferry offers a range of anti-aging treatments including dermal fillers, thread lifts, profilo, skin boosters, microneedling and LED light therapy. Hair and makeup also available. Download the Genesis Salon app today or call 07495 32575.
Following their recent great away win over Shelburne, Finn Harps are back in league action with two vital home matches. First up are champions Shamrock Rovers this Friday, followed by Drogheda United on Monday. Both matches kick off at 8 and tickets are now available at finnharps.ie. That's Harps versus Shamrock Rovers this Friday night and Drogheda United on Monday night at Finn Park. See finnharps.ie for details.
Okay, we're joined on the programme now by Independent Councillor Micheál Colm. Good morning to you. Thanks for joining us.
Margin way that you, Greg.
Now, we spoke to you recently as it relates to 16 apartments in Dunlow under the ownership of Clwyd. They were vacant, it seems, so it would have seemed a natural thing to repurpose them so they could be occupied. And there was talk of them being knocked down too, and some talk of it allowing access to another development and all that kind of stuff. Well, has there been an update from Clwyd on this issue?
Yeah, there is, and it's not often I'm on radio with good news, and taking this opportunity to thank Highland Radio, who have been consistent on airing this very important issue and being a part of that push to get Clwyd to do the right thing. So I just want to recognise that, Greg, and I think it's important. And also recognising that everybody who has participated in this, from council officials to other councillors, for what was happening was that we in the MD in Glenties have been raising this for a very, very long time. Not just the Clwyd Housing Association, but also Responds, who had a floor lying empty there for a very long time. We're in the middle of one of the worst crises that the 26 counties have seen in relation to the lack of home, which is a deliberate policy of state. We have people in West Donegal, as there are in other parts of the county, who are actually homeless. And for whatever reason, Clwyd had decided that them apartments were ignored or had an excuse that the HSE had participated in keeping them as they were. So what looks like what was happening was that there was a deal done with the HSE. Excuse me, I have a bit of cold. HSE. Now, there are some people that were in these apartments, that's their homes. So I'm just conscious of that. But the rest of the apartments had laid empty. Clwyd then had told us when we met with them last June. Now, that's a fair bit of time that has changed, and the cost of development has changed dramatically since as well. And we met with them yesterday, council staff and councillors. They were very adamant in their position. We were equally if not more adamant, that we were not moving from our position, that we would not allow these buildings to be knocked down. And as I explained to the CEO very clearly, that if they didn't hear the voices of those that were elected by the public, that they would certainly hear us on the day that they would look to demolish the building.
So did they change their position yesterday? Was it? It was.
They changed the position there and then, and what angers me is that, and what really angers me is that, yes, the apartments have been lying empty for all these years when we could have had people homed in them. But they made that decision at the beginning of the meeting. They were very entrenched. Both sides were very much in our trenches. Neither of us were moving. I believe that all 6 councillors had their correct position on this here. We weren't for moving, and it took a fair bit of time and pushing, and that includes all the councillors, not just me. And we got them to change the position. Actually, what happened was that one of them, the senior management, changed the position right there and then at a meeting. And it was, well, that's something that they have to work through themselves within their own staffing. But it showed clearly that they could have changed the position all along. They wanted to knock these perfectly fine structure to make way to build 12 other, I think, 2 bedrooms, possibly 3 bedroom homes. We want them homes built as well. How long would it take to build them homes? I would have taken for ages to build them.
Given how Clwyd has handled this, do you believe that maybe the Department of Housing, Planning and Local Government needs to review its approval of it as a housing body? Not in any way to sort of withdraw that approval, but maybe, this is obviously one decision that was resisted locally strongly. Logically, it made no sense to knock these down. And at a meeting, one individual changed their mind, and now they're going to be retained and refurbished. Firstly, that one person would have that influence, I think, is it's welcome in this case, but I think it's worrying overall. I mean, I wonder, does the department need to maybe have an assessment of Clwyd and its decision making?
Well, I think we need to have a major discussion within our communities, right across from the airways to our newspapers to our community halls around housing. We're, like I said, we're facing a crisis. We have people who are homeless. We have people now who had planned to build homes who can't afford to build homes. We had people who wanted to return from far off shores to rear families in this area. Even late last night, they had people who were in contact with me about their hopes and aspirations to move home to rear children, to put them to schools. We have schools who are closing down. But there's a whole problem in terms of availability, of those who are renting long term, because a lot of people have moved to Airbnb and the problems that that's causing. We have the problem that the government failed to build adequate homes and looked to the likes of housing associations instead of investing it into our local authority and the local authority to build the houses, because they're the people who should be building homes. And now we need to look at the cost of building homes, where it's beyond anybody, the ordinary working class, ability to build a nice home for themselves. Excuse me.
All right,
and that's a difficulty. And then we need to look at other countries and the models that they have in relation to how we live. And it's shocking that here we are talking on radio about apartments that have laid empty for years and years and years, where we have people who are homeless at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Or indeed, you might have a home, but it's not a long-term sustainable
future
for
it's a huge
them as
problem.
well.
And can I? Because I just wanted an opportunity, and you must be thinking I'm looking for something from Highland when I'm praising you all this much this morning. But again, another cause that you championed right through, and I'm grateful for, is the dredging in Maharorty that started today. We've been fighting for this for a long time. When the minister made the strange decision to stop the dredging, which affected the ferry service to our islands and the fishing community at Maharorty, and I just want to take the opportunity, because I was over there this morning talking to Stonehill and the Wanakefleet Damien they mentioned in relation to the work that's starting now, and as we speak they'll be starting to dredge. There's a number of people over there, and it's fantastic news that we're seeing, and I hope that we get this dredging finished. But what we need is the wall that we were promised.
Understood. The breakwater. Finally, before I let you go, obviously, work continues on the ground with contact between the likes of yourselves and council officials, and making representations. And local electoral area meetings, but to discuss the big issues as well, a platform to do so. The County Council, I don't know when the last time we had 2 consecutive full council meetings. They constantly are being adjourned. How frustrated are you that we are not seeing democracy in action in that forum? And what are your constituents saying to you about it? I mean, you're part of it.
Well, look, there's no point me saying otherwise. Yes, a lot of people, when you're in the shops or out and about, yes, people are saying it to you. What's happening within the council chamber? Why aren't you meeting? I think there's a frustration amongst all. I think we need to get on with our work, because that's why we're here. We're here to be elected. Well, we're here elected to represent the public the best as we can. We don't have much powers as it is, because that was taken off us consistently over many years.
No, but it's an important platform to discuss the issues.
Correct, and it's a very important, hence the house and Collude, the dredging and Maharoti, other very important issues that we work in relation to try to bring change and to highlight. And we do need to have a meeting, but all councillors who are asking questions also need to get answers to their questions. And I think that's really important. But we need to sit down. And
but within the structures as are laid out within the council, presumably.
Excuse me?
The questions have to be asked within the structures that are laid out by the council. That's how it all works, doesn't it?
Oh, yes, absolutely. But, look, I can only talk about my own experiences, that I find it very frustrating when you're raising questions and that you could be waiting a very, very, very long time to get an answer, if you get it at all. And I believe sometimes that can be deliberate, and there could be other reasons. Look, at the end of the day, we have a situation where we haven't met properly. I want to see us get on now, do what we're here to do, and that everybody, and it's important that everybody is respected right through this whole process, and that we just get on with what the public expect us. We are absolutely on our knees. I can speak clearly for West Donegal, because that's where I'm elected for. We're one of the most socially, economically deprived communities. We have schools
that's it.
that are in
I
the
mean,
verge of
that is
closing.
it, and we expect you people who we pay. And
Yes,
I don't mean that in
absolutely.
any way. I don't mean that as if I'm.
No.
above you. I don't mean
I
it
know
in
you don't.
that in any way, shape,
Yeah,
or form.
yeah.
I hope you know that.
Yeah.
I don't believe in any classes or anything like that.
Us councillors have feelings too, Greg. You know?
Yeah, exactly, and that's why I have to be You're a particular sensitive councillor, so I'm choosing my words carefully. No, but all jokes aside, we expect you to come up with solutions to be able to meet and discuss the problems that affect us, and will hopefully.
Yes, absolutely, and that's
important.
And that's important, and we don't always agree, and especially because I come from a very strong left-wing Republican. I had lots of opposition. Yes, did you not know this? And what do you call it? I don't always agree with the other positions of some of the other independent councillors or the other party councillors. But I think yesterday was a fantastic show of unity and strength. And I have to be honest, I was so delighted and over the moon. And
That's
we were
right to the meeting with Clewis.
strong voice that made Collude move their position.
It's powerful, and that's why it's important we spoke to you this morning, and I appreciate your time. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks very much, Mcgreevy.
Take care of yourself. Councillor Micheál Colm-Nasbig, he has spoken on this issue, as has Councillor Mary-Therese Gallagher, and representatives from all parties and none. They all worked together to pressure Clwyd to reverse that decision as it relates to those apartments. They have done so, and we've been talking about that for quite some time, and it's good to see a positive resolution. We might not talk about it down the line, but what it means is in a few months' time, there'll be, I don't know how many apartments they'll be able to provide there. Let's just say it's 5 or 6 or something along those lines. That's 5 or 6 couples or individuals or families that will have a secure roof over their head, and that's a win.
The 9 till noon show brought to you by Kelly's Toyota, Port Road, Letterkenny. Explore our wide range of virtual tools at kellystoyota.com.
With passengers boarding for the holiday of a lifetime, please go
Highland Radio wants to send you on the holiday of a lifetime.
Worth €10,000.
Plus $5,000 spending money.
Get your ticket now at highlandradio.com. Answer the question and start packing. Start packing.
Draw takes place April 14th on the 9 till noon show.
Start planning your ultimate getaway. Only on Highland Radio.
This year in Home Store and More, we've more for your garden than ever before. We've a great range of garden furniture, rattan corner sets, dinner sets, gazebos and much more. We've barbecues, gas, charcoal or smoker, all 33% off. Be warm and cosy with our selection of outdoor heating, also 33% off. And enjoy those longer evenings with our range of solar lights and garden decor. Visit us in-store or shop online at homestoreandmore.ie. Make your garden your sanctuary. Home Store and More. A happy home.
Are you refurbishing your bathroom or fitting out one for the first time? For hassle-free expert advice, contact McDade's Bathroom Plumbing Tiles, Buncrana. We have supplied thousands of bathrooms throughout the Northwest, and our expertise is here to save you money and help you choose your dream bathroom. Call to our showroom in Buncrana or come and see us at the Donegal New Build and Rebuild 2022 show at the Mount Errigal Hotel on the 1st, 2nd and 3rd of April. McDade's Bathroom Plumbing Tiles, Buncrana.
Take It to the Limit is a celebration of the Eagles by Johnny Brady, Simon Casey, Nigel Connell and the Sheeran family. You can hear Take It to the Limit for one night only at the Millennium Forum Derry on April 14th. That's Johnny Brady, Simon Casey, Nigel Connell and the Sheeran family band as they perform Take It to the Limit, a celebration of the Eagles, on Easter Sunday, April 14th. Tickets are £28 now on sale from the theatre box office or online from millenniumforum.co.uk.
Save hundreds of euros on custom charges shopping online with Space Hub Dairy. We provide a full virtual office address mailbox service for all your business and personal use. Save your business hundreds, possibly thousands on custom charges with Space Hub Dairy. Call 048 7187 8077 for more details.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Thinking of a sun holiday with the family? You can now fly to Barcelona 3 times weekly this summer with Ryanair and enjoy some of Europe's best family campsites. Ireland West Airport. You're flying.
Yeah, so it was noticeably more chilly this morning. I'll bring you the weather forecast now for the rest of today. And I can tell you that mist and fog will clear this morning as cloudy conditions with showery rain spreads from the north, introducing much colder weather along with a freshening northeast breeze. Drier and brighter weather will follow for the late afternoon and evening, along with a few showers of rain or hail. Afternoon temperatures just 5 to 8 degrees, but it doesn't feel, even though the temperature is lower, it doesn't feel bitterly cold outside. Right, okay. Now, on Taoiseach Micheál Martin is coming to the region over a couple of days this weekend. He's going to be in Letterkenny on Saturday. There have been requests. I'm joined on the programme now, by the way, I should say, by Michael Doherty, peer of the Micah Action Group. Good morning to you, Michael.
Good morning, Greg. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. I presume there have been requests to meet with on Taoiseach, obviously given the nature of the crisis up here. Has he responded to your calls, or maybe the request is being made through the offices of Charlie McConlough? Tell us what has been requested, if anything.
Yeah, obviously we were never going to miss the opportunity with the Taoiseach coming to the region, as you say. So we did put a formal request through to Minister McConlough. That was 12 days ago now, on the 18th of the month, and we heard nothing back. So we had our Monday evening, our usual Monday Mike Action Group meeting, and we just called it out that we couldn't be ignored in this fashion, and we went ahead and said we were inviting ourselves. And ironically then it appears to have been yesterday evening. We've got an invite now through Charlie McConlough, and it looks like they're going to try and shoehorn us in somewhere into the itinerary on the Saturday. So yes, we'll welcome that and we look forward to that, but it'll not take anything away from what we're doing regarding bringing people back to the streets.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I mean, I wonder, would that have happened if they had said, yes, of course, this is a big issue. We'll meet a delegation. We'll set aside an hour on Saturday morning and we want to hear what you have to say and we want to give you an update. I imagine if that conversation had have happened at the time of the request, we wouldn't necessarily perhaps be seeing such an organised feat on the street.
Yeah, and I think this is typical again of what we've been dealing with all along, Greg. Everything's reactionary, everything's last minute, everything is after you hold their feet to the fire to the point where they eventually squeal. And that's exactly what we've done. I'm fairly familiar with what the itinerary was for the Taoiseach, and certainly we weren't in as part of it. So they're looking to get us shoehorned in there somewhere now. But to your point, would this have happened otherwise? My own gut feel is no, we wouldn't have been getting an invite. And to think that your Taoiseach would waltz into the county and waltz back out again, having not looked to engage with anyone representing the biggest issue this county has ever had, beggars belief, to be honest.
I wonder, this is just my comment, but how politics have changed. Back in the day, I think what would have happened is that, a Taoiseach would have made sure they had a bit of good news on a big issue going into a region, and actually would have sought a meeting themselves. That's how it seemed to operate in the past, but we seem to be in a different space now. Maybe I'm just looking back with rose-tinted glasses. What questions does Micheál Martin need to answer now? If he were on the line and you were to put a couple of questions to him, what are those questions?
Well, I think the first question is, what have you guys done to resource this 2.2 billion euro scheme? And I know the answer to that because I'm in conversations with the relevant people, and we don't have dedicated resources. It's if you were in the private sector and you're dealing with 500,000 of a scheme, you would make sure it was resourced. You would make sure there was plans in place. There were work streams for all the different facets that's involved in a scheme, and we're multiplying that up so many times to reach 2.2 billion. And yet we seem to be tagging on to the job roles of people that are in existing jobs. It just represents the complete non-urgency and lack of urgency that they seem to be treating us with here. And we have got homes that are, we've got schemes that are on a standstill, even with the local authorities, because of being kept in the dark and no answers being forwarded by the department regards what to do with the likes of pyrite that they're being told to ignore because it's not in the IS 465 standard, and yet the council knows it's crazy to ignore it because you'd be making the wrong decisions in terms of whether it's a demolition or an outer leaf. But the department will give no guidance. So things are at a standstill. The only thing that's not at a standstill is the rate at which these homes are crumbling. And there is a complete lack of appreciation for that. And homeowners are rightly extremely frustrated. And, they're looking across at one another and we're picking at one another, where in actual fact, the problem is still in Dublin. It was always in Dublin, that and the local authorities, and they're just not making it happen. And people's frustrations boiling over. And I think they need to come on Saturday, channel that frustration in a very appropriate way and make sure that we're not ignored.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, there are people who are going to be staying over at the same hotel, but you can't make an omelette, I suppose, without breaking some eggs sometimes. So in terms of, because this can, you obviously and those involved in this are right across it and have a intimate understanding of everything that's going on, right? But for those who may not or find it difficult to get their heads around stuff, I'm a little bit like that myself, to be honest. I mean, there was announcements, okay, and then there was some commentary as to, right, this is the best deal we can do at the moment, and it is at least close to 100% for the majority of people, right? Okay, so what has changed that this language has changed now that we're talking again about this isn't costed, this is stalled, the only thing that is progressing is the crumbling of the houses. What has changed over the last, I don't know how long it is, couple of months, that we've seemed to have moved from a positive position where it feels to me as an onlooker as almost not quite a square one position. But do you get where I'm coming from?
I absolutely do, Greg, and I think it's a very fair point. And it's not that we're jumping around with this. We have to take what's in front of us at any given time. And what was in front of us at the SCSI announcement was a proper investigation into costs that was taking place by an independent body, and they were using QSs from the area here and from other affected parts of the Northwest as well. So, and that was massively different to the costings that was being put forward by the department via the sliding scale. But the important part to note is that the department were still involved because they were able to dictate what the remit was, what the terms of reference was for SCSI. So they've done a good enough job, I believe, in the costings per square foot for what they were allowed to cost, but there were things that they were not allowed to cost. For example, replacement of foundations were not in there. It was going to be a home built to 2007 regulations. They were told not to allow for even a carpet on your floor.
To some extent that was accepted, but we seem to have gone, not accepted, but it still was, all right, this is progress. Where's the reverse come from? Where's the reverse come from where we're back in the area of, frustration, stalled process, government needs answers? Like, where's the regression come from?
I think the regression is coming from the fact that, again, we were given something that we were taking in good faith, and then a bit of the devil in the detail starts to emerge again, Greg. And we had this before. Now, there is detail in there that people need to know. There's 8 reference houses in there. Now, not all the houses, probably about 10-15% of our houses are going to fit neatly into them 8. Now we have the in-betweeners, and it's not clear yet what's happening in these in-betweeners. And we have sought that detail. That detail is still being kicked about by the department, which concerns us, because anything that the department got involved in the past was definitely not in the interest of the homeowners. So we were told we'd be getting independence. It can't be independence for 8 houses. It has to be independence for all houses, and that detail is still lacking. You know, so that's an example of the sorts of things we're up against. The options 2 to 5, which is to do with the outer leaf, there are big concerns now on the back of, you know, reinforced information. And I know you had Paul Dunlop and Eileen Doherty on there talking about this stuff. You know, we still have a department that seems to be blind to what science is telling them out there, and they're still pushing options 2 to 5, when in actual fact, we have very, very strong reason to believe that depending on the results that come back through, that you know, less than demolition won't work.
Yeah, but
and
that being said, though, Michael, long before some time ago, and I've said it here, and others have said it as well, it never made sense that you would do an outer leaf and not an inner leaf, given what actually causes these blocks to deteriorate. That it wouldn't make any sense to build, you know, on foundations that may well include the same problematic chemicals and what have you. Do you know, like, I thought this was kind of, a lot of people felt this for quite some time, that an outer leaf option just was not really ever going to be satisfactory, even with some sort of a state guarantee, because there was an inevitability of what's going to happen down the line. And really, we've just heard at a webinar that being reinforced, that, you know, by someone who really knows his stuff, of course, but it doesn't seem like new information to me as an onlooker.
I think the difference is that everyone had their suspicions all along. And, you know, if you're taking it and standing back in layman's terms, you say it's the same blocks come off the same lorry. You know, what's the difference between an outer leaf and an inner leaf? The concrete came from the same quarry. It's got the same aggregate in it. What's the difference? There was proposals put forward by department at the time, because concrete is much more dense. It's, you know, 35, 40 Newton concrete as opposed to blocks that are meant to be 5 or 7 Newton, that this would have less of an effect. All of the time there has been science emerging, and that science, you know, accumulated, I believe, in the form of what came forward through that European seminar. And then it put a lot of what was suspicions to bed, and they were more of facts than they were suspicions. And I think that's the difference. Because there are people that have...
To adopt that science, though, Michael, it feels to me, and this might be why the government or the civil servants don't want to take it on board, it seems to me that this would inflate the cost of the scheme greatly. And the extent of not only the cost of the scheme in fixing the houses that have been identified as problematic, but it would broaden it out, you know, to include an awful lot more houses. Like, as I say, you know, are we at square one then with that in mind?
I don't think we're square one. I think where we're at is a place where we have to take stock of the facts that surround us. And, you know, there's a lot more information available now than what there was when the scheme was first announced. People have been, you know, the experience of the houses that have been tested, for example, you know, there's about 600 houses worth of data out there now that should be taken, should be ploughed into proper research, and yet we don't see any evidence of that happening. So, you know, we're taking this policy very simply, Greg.
Sorry, Michael, just before 10, say they announced like 10 million... and it probably would take something like that there to do a deep analysis, right? Because, of course, from the webinar, we were talking about 3 or 4 samples, right? I think so. This would take a much more detail. Can the scheme continue whilst that level of investigation was ongoing finally, Michael?
Yes, it can. But if in doubt, take it out. That has to be the strategy until science tells us that less will do.
Okay. Listen, thanks for your time as always. I really do appreciate it.
Thanks, Greg.
All right, take care. By the way, that protest, sorry, this is why we began the conversation.
Yeah.
A gathering of people. It's at the in the vicinity of the Radisson Hotel, Saturday morning from about 11:45.
Yeah, correct. And the last thing I'd like to say, Greg, is there's one in Derry as well at 7 p.m. because the Holiday homeowners need to be represented. That's a place for them. But we would ask that that's a very dignified rally, because it's the John Hume Memorial that we have got the Taoiseach visiting, and we absolutely want to be respectful. But I would also say John Hume, if he was here today, would see the great injustice that's been done and would certainly support what we're looking to do here. So, but let's keep it dignified.
All right, listen, thank you very much for your time. As always, I appreciate it. Any views or comments on that? 086 60 25,000. WhatsApps or texts, or give us a call on 074 91 25,000. Another busy 2 hours on the way, but we take a break now for the news with Donald Kavanagh and the obituary notices.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. Donald Kavanagh at the news desk. The Foreign Affairs Minister has told the Dáil the proposal by the British government to introduce an electronic travel authorisation system could have serious consequences for Donegal. The issue was raised in the Dáil last evening by 3 opposition TDs from the county who highlighted their belief that this would compromise the Good Friday Agreement's promised freedom of movement across the border. Concern was also expressed that this could lead to the reintroduction of border checks. Minister Simon Coveney told them a House of Lords amendment which would have exempted the border from the scheme was rejected, but it may come before the House of Commons again, and he said the government will be pushing to ensure that if it does, it'll be accepted this time.
The introduction of the proposed ETA scheme for cross-border journeys could cause considerable disruption to the daily lives and livelihoods of many people. It's clear that border counties such as Donegal would be particularly affected. Most journeys to and from Donegal naturally cross the border. Since this proposal emerged, the government have been engaged with the British government at both official and political level to express our serious concern with regard to the proposed ETA scheme. There is time to try and change this, and I can assure you we will be very active in our attempts to do that.
Ukraine's military says Russian pledges to scale back operations in 2 key cities represents nothing more than an attempt to mislead. The Kremlin is withdrawing forces from the outskirts of Kiev, but Western officials believe they're just being redeployed elsewhere. Russia's announcement came following peace talks with Ukraine in Turkey. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has cautiously welcomed progress being made, but says Russia still can't be trusted.
We can call the signals we hear from the negotiating platform positive. But these signals do not drown out the blows of Russian shells. Of course, we see all the risks.
A 36-year-old man detained in Strabane yesterday in connection with a shooting incident in the Spring Hill Park area in February has been released without charge. The PSNI say their investigations into the assault are continuing. The designation of the new Atlantic Technological University represents far more than just a name change. That's the conclusion of research carried out on behalf of the Northern and Western Regional Assembly, which has found the ATU will contribute at least €700 million in economic output and support just over 3,100 jobs per year. NWRA economist John Daly says this economic impact will be a significant improvement on the individual contributions of Letterkenny Institute of Technology, IT Sligo and GMIT at present. Mr Daly says the new institution will play a key role in supporting the recovery of the Northern and Western region's economy.
It will allow the college to deliver a higher quality in terms of academic courses, which obviously deliver higher quality in terms of academic degrees and an improved skill set, all of which should contribute to the Northwest economy and deliver high-valued socio-economic benefits that we expect to be delivered as part of the TU designation.
Well, the new university officially comes into being on Friday, with the governing body of the new university convening for the first time at ATU Donegal in Letterkenny. The governing body will confirm Dr. Orla Flynn as its president. The ATU will be officially opened on Monday next by Minister for Further and Higher Education, Research, Innovation and Science, Simon Harris. He'll be at an event in ATU in Sligo, and that'll be live streamed to campuses in Galway, Mayo and Donegal. Irish workers will be entitled to mandatory sick pay for the first time under new laws. The Cabinet has approved a bill giving employees the right to take 3 sick days by the end of this year. That'll rise to 5 next year, 7 the following year and 10 by 2026. And Donegal County Council is being urged to complete work on a listed bridge in the Twin Towns. The bridge, which links Ballybofey and Stranraer over the River Finn, had deteriorated. A number of years ago, the TII and Donegal County Council carried out repair work. When other works began in the area, however, that work on the bridge was suspended. Councillor Patrick McGowan says it's now time to come back and finish it.
There's some very unsightly poles
ESB, carrying ESB wires and lights and that. Actually, and one's actually coming out of the bridge itself, comes out through the parapet wall, and that has to be removed. So there's a lot of to and fro with different agencies, but my understanding that's been long sorted out. So it's time now that they actually go on and finish the job.
Weather forecast: mist and fog clearing with cloudy conditions and showery rain spreading from the north through the morning. Much colder weather today, along with a freshening northeast breeze. Drier and brighter weather coming in the late afternoon and evening, with some showers of rain or hail. Afternoon temperatures not going above 8 degrees Celsius today. Cold and frosty overnight with mostly clear skies. Wintry showers about in minimum temperatures of -3 to 0 degrees Celsius. Moderate northeast breezes. Tomorrow a cold, bright and frosty start. Good spells of spring sunshine, but it'll feel noticeably chilly in a brisk northeasterly breeze. Scattered showers of rain, hail and sleet tomorrow. A possibility of some snow on higher ground. Highest temperatures 6 to 8 in a fresh northeast wind. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news again at 11 o'clock. The obituary notices for this Wednesday morning, the 30th of March. The death has taken place of John Harkin, Glen Crow, Moville. Removal from Eternal Light Chapel of Rest, Mountain Top, Letterkenny, this afternoon at 4 o'clock, going to his home. Funeral arrangements will be confirmed later. The death has taken place of Mary McHugh, née McMullen, 74, Ardconnell, Glenties. Her remains will repose at Chauvelin's funeral home, Sandfield, Ardra, from 4 o'clock this afternoon, with removal at 5:30 to her late residence. Removal from there on Friday morning to St Connell's Church, Glenties, for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, with burial afterwards in the local cemetery. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to Killybegs Community Hospital Patients Comfort Fund, care of James McGuinness and Sons Funeral Directors. Funeral Mass can be viewed live on churchservices.tv. The death has taken place of Kathleen O'Hanlon, née Wallace, 19 Glen Road, Strabane, and formerly of Coal Island. Her remains will repose at Quigley's funeral home from 5 o'clock this evening, with removal at 6:30 to Sacred Heart Church, Derry Road. Requiem Mass tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, with interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Donations in lieu of flowers, please, to WHSCT Greenfield Residential Home, care of Quigley Funeral Directors. Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the parish webcam. The death has taken place of Teresa Cuskelly, née O'Reilly, Thorndale, Letterkenny, and formerly of Lower Art O'Donnell, Letterkenny. Her remains are reposing at her late residence at Thorndale. House strictly private, please, at the request of the deceased. Funeral Mass in St Eunan's Cathedral, Letterkenny, tomorrow morning at 11, followed by burial in Conwell Cemetery. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member or Jim Medlin Funeral Director. The death has taken place in London of Christy Tinney, Hammersmith, and formerly of Gramesland, Castlefin. Funeral Mass in St Augustine's Church, Hammersmith, at 12:15 on Friday afternoon, followed by interment. Funeral can be viewed live on the parish webpage. The death has occurred of Father Patrick Dooher, Columban Fathers, Dalgan Park, Navan, County Meath, and late of Gort Clare Road, Cleggan North, Dunamana, Strabane, and the Peru Mission. Funeral Mass tomorrow in St Columban's, Dalgan Park at 11 o'clock, followed by burial in the community cemetery. The death has occurred of Mary McAteer, née McMenamin, White Hart, Rathmullen. Requiem Mass tomorrow, Thursday, at 1 o'clock, followed by interment in the adjoining cemetery. Family flowers only, please. House strictly private to family and close friends. Mass can be viewed on mcnmedia.tv. Donations in lieu of flowers, please, to the Lourdes Invalid Fund, care of Mcgreevy Funeral Directors or any family member. The death has taken place of Danny McGilloway, Roxtown, Urris, Clonmany. His remains are reposing at his late residence. Funeral from there tomorrow at 10:30 to St Michael's Church, Urris, for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock, with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Renal Unit, Letterkenny University Hospital, care of Comiskey Funeral Directors or any family member. Funeral Mass can be viewed live on churchservices.tv. The death has taken place of Liam O'Donnell, Rye, Manor Cunningham. His remains are reposing at his late residence, which is private to family and close friends, please. Funeral from there tomorrow morning at 10:15, travelling via Manor Cunningham Main Street to St Columba's Church, Drummahall, for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, followed by interment in the adjoining churchyard. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Irish Cancer Society, care of any family member. The death has taken place of Hugh O'Donnell, Gortnacilla, Glenties. His remains are reposing at his brother Patrick O'Donnell's home at Gortnacilla. House private, please. Removal this morning for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock in St Connell's Church, Glenties. Burial afterwards in the local cemetery. Family flowers welcome, or donations in lieu if desired, to St Joseph's Patients Comfort Fund, care of any family member. Funeral Mass can be viewed live on churchservices.tv. And the death has taken place of Robert Macaulay, Lenamore, Muff. Robert's remains are reposing at his nephew John and Pauline Macaulay's residence at Carnamoyle, Muff. Service there at 2 o'clock this afternoon, with burial afterwards in Coolmore Parish Church. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to Letterkenny University Hospital, care of Porter Funeral Directors. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Welcome back to the programme. Hope you're still well. Hi, Greg. Where are these census forms? It's now the 30th of March and I still haven't got my form. I'm not sure. I think they're still out delivering them. Mine was only dropped in Friday, was it? I think Friday, maybe. Was it Friday or Saturday? So they're still going around at this point. Greg, could one of our local service station owners come on your show and explain why diesel and petrol have gone up by 12 cents a litre when it had just come down 12 cents 2 weeks ago? I'm referring to the Inishowen area. Well, right across the county, and I do drive around much of it. It's not unique to your area, by the way. I do note that it's over €2 a litre for petrol in some places, particularly in the south of the county, seemingly. It must have gone up. I don't know. I think when they're doing the business use on the national stations, it'd be interesting if they did the price of a barrel of oil. They do so in Britain often, and then maybe we'd get some sort of sense of what's going on. Rye Community Centre, in conjunction with Milford Resource Centre and Milford GEA, taking part in a walk which leaves from the Rye Community Centre to the Standing Man. 10k walk with a shuttle bus available and health checks before the walk if wished, and a barbecue afterwards on Saturday with registration at 10 a.m. starting 11 a.m. A sponsored walk aimed at all abilities and family friendly, taking place in Buncrana. Starts at 2 p.m. from St Mary's Hall. 7 kilometre walk, tea and refreshment afterwards. Now I'm going to have to presume that's Saturday because the day is not on it, but I take it it's going to be Saturday. Obviously these are walks and climbs taking place to support Charlie Bird and his support of the Motor Neuron Disease Association and also Pieta, two causes close to him. And we will be talking about motor neuron disease as part of our Wellness Wednesday in the last hour of the programme, so stay tuned for that. Hi, Greg. Just like to point out my wife, who's a senior carer with a local company, had to leave home at 6:45 to get to work at 7:45, having to stop at a local service station for the toilet. She was refused access. She asked why and was told by staff they are not allowed. Having travelled from Letterkenny to look after an elderly and vulnerable people within her community, I think now that restrictions are all lifted, this is shocking treatment to one of the most dedicated carers there is. Shame on this company. Now, I can't mention the company just because we have to get their policy on it, but I think that is really unfair, and let's hope they don't need the assistance or help or support of your wife down the line, and maybe at this time they could be offering a little bit of support. I don't think I could, honestly. I'm no angel. I've said that before. I don't think I could refuse someone the use of a toilet. I genuinely don't think I could stand there. Even if my manager said no one can use the toilet, I don't think I could refuse them. Micheál Martin has a neck on him to come to Donegal. He should be run off the country, out of the county, says another. Perhaps the government know there's a recession coming and that things will be far cheaper once things go bust. Prices aren't sustainable at present, believes a caller. Hi, Greg. I have a caravan holiday van in Donegal on this park. Some neighbours and friends have big problems trying to get maintenance men who work at gas. these guys don't answer their phones. So in desperation, they let anyone try to fix geysers, as we all need to shower. Health and safety is an issue. Can anyone help? Listen, any people working in the likes of tiling, plumbing, gas, they're up to their ears in work. And but look at, I don't know where this is located, but if there's anyone works there in gas, I mean, obviously it's a very dangerous area of work if you don't know what you're doing. If they want to get in contact with us, we'll put them in contact with you if there's a bit of work going. Another caller says, I know people who have all vaccines and they now have COVID for the third time. How come Britain and America and other countries are saying natural immunity is the way to go, except for Ireland? Well, no one's saying that, to be honest with you. We are going for natural immunity. That's exactly what happened when they stopped contact tracing in schools months ago. That's precisely what we're doing right now. Being fully vaccinated, and we've known this for a long time with variants, particularly when it changed from the original variant. Vaccines don't stop you getting it, they stop you going into hospital. You know, you can believe that or not, it's completely up to you. But 1,600 people are in hospital, 800 of them actually are sick with COVID, and over half of them aren't vaccinated. And in ICU, over half of those in ICU aren't vaccinated. So that's like 25 people coming from 4 or 5% of the population. That's the statistics, but it's completely up to you to decide whether or not you wish to believe that. But we are in a herd immunity policy. That's precisely what we're doing. But at the same time, if a massive group of people working in hospitals have a view as to what we should be doing, we can't ignore that either. We are bringing in potentially 200,000 people from Ukraine. You think the hospitals are bad now? Well, our population has grown by over 1 million since 2017, 2016. I can't see the point in sort of looking towards the Ukrainians. Maybe many of those might end up working in hospitals. They're here for a short time. They want to go back to their country. They want the war to stop. They don't necessarily want, and I'm sure they welcome it, fundraising to deal with the consequences of war. They want the war to stop. In cities in Ukraine today, there are children with no food. They have no food. There's mums holding babies in cellars in cities in Ukraine now, and they have no baby food for them. What do you feed a hungry 8-month-old baby when you can't leave your house? Your house is destroyed. You're in a basement. What do you do? Right? Do we seriously want to turn these people away and say, well, things are bad now? We have to find a way, don't we? No, I can't. I couldn't imagine us not helping people like those that I've described. Ireland has the lowest rate of ICU beds per head of population in the Western Europe and second least restrictive COVID regulations in the world after Mongolia. Both are close to facts, and we wonder why our health service is struggling. Time to cop ourselves on as a nation. Okay, right. We are going to be talking about new... We're going to be talking about new regulations which will benefit people as it relates to sick leave and sick pay entitlements in that regard. That's on the way, but we do take the bingo numbers now and a quick break. Stay with us and we'll be right back, as I say.
It's time for Ncbi Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Wednesday the 30th of March. You're playing on the blue sheet. The reference number is S3. It's game number 13. The numbers are 40, 3, 36, 44, 19, 76, 73, 48, 62, and finally 77. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI Bingo information at highlandradio.com.
The 9 till noon show brought to you by Kelly's Toyota, Port Road, Letterkenny. Explore our wide range of virtual tools at kellystoyota.com.
Let's call out his name.
Mike Denver in concert with guests Philomena Begley, Ray Lynham and Brendan Shine at the Millennium Forum Derry on Saturday, April 23rd. Tickets at the theatre box office. That's Mike Denver in concert at the Millennium Forum with Philomena Begley, Ray Lynham and Brendan Shine on Saturday, April 23rd.
This summer, holidays are go with Jet2 Holidays and Atlantic Travel. So go discover our amazing destinations with 22 kilograms of baggage included. Ask the experts at Atlantic Travel about your next Jet2 holiday by calling 074 912 6193 and book now with just a £60 deposit per person. Jet2 Holidays. Package holidays you can trust, subject to availability and conditions.
Do you suffer from heartburn or abdominal pain? Do you experience frequent constipation or diarrhea? If you need or are waiting for an endoscopy consultation, then why not come see us at Kingsbridge Private Hospital Sligo, where we provide excellence in private healthcare. We are approved by all private health insurers and our specialised consultants are ready to see you. Avoid long journeys and longer waiting lists. Visit kingsbridgeprivatehospital.ie for more information. Because life matters.
Why wait any longer for a change of scene? Why wait one more week for a world-class cocktail in a rooftop hot tub? Why wait another day for Art Deco elegance and live jazz? For a spa resort with a therapy menu as long as your arm? For dinner at a Michelin Guide recommended restaurant? Why put your next short break on the long finger when it's just a small step to a giant adventure in Northern Ireland? And you can book it now at discovernorthernireland.com. Travel advice and guidelines apply. Visit nidirect.gov.uk and check ahead with providers.
The Redcastle Oceanfront Golf and Spa Hotel would like to invite you to their wedding fair on Sunday, the 10th of April from 2 till 5 p.m. Meet the wedding team, top industry suppliers with breathtaking views, refreshments and more. One lucky couple will win a VIP 30-minute helicopter experience, followed by bubbly and dinner on the day. To enter, simply register at www.redcastlehotel.com and attend the wedding fair.
Now, welcome back to the programme. I'm very pleased to welcome onto it now Richard Grogan of Richard Grogan and Associates. A very good morning to you, Richard. How are you keeping today?
Good morning. I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Now, all employees are to be entitled to 10 days of paid sick leave by 2026. I wonder why the long lead-in, Richard.
Well, what it is it's supposed to be 3 days this year, then 5 in next year, 7 in 2024, and 10 in 2025. It's to ease it in, I think, because a lot of employers do not have sick pay schemes. So this, I think, is the issue, that if it all came in as 10 days in one go, it would be a big cost to most small employers.
What is the current situation now?
Well, there is no right to paid sick leave unless it's in your contract of employment. So if you don't have a contract that says you don't, then you just get social welfare. That's the position.
Yeah, okay. So how will this work when the 3 sick day entitlement begins? So how does it benefit the employee?
Well, the employee will be paid up to €110 a day or 70% of their normal daily wage if they're out sick. So that will cover it. Now, if, by the way, an employer has a more beneficial policy in place, then you get the one that's the better for you. So it's not. So if currently we say, let's say an employer has a 5-day sick pay policy and they pay full time, for this year and next year, you're not going to get the extra days on top. You're going to get whichever is better. So that's the position on it.
I presume there'll be the employers aren't going to be happy about this, because this is going to hit them in their pocket, where it wouldn't have before, those that don't already have it in place for their employees.
Yeah, well, it is, because there's quite a bit of administration that's going to be on this as well, because remember, the employee is going to have to produce a doctor's certificate for any absence. So that's going to be a cost to the employee, there's going to be a cost to the employer, and the employer, I mean, I'm not overly happy with it in the sense that they're not saying, by the way, the employer would be exempted from, say, employer PRSI for such payments, which I think would help employers significantly. But it is going to be a cost for employers, and it's one that's going to have to be factored into the costs, which in reality means that will pass on to ultimately customers and clients, because it will be a cost to the business.
Yeah, and I think we really saw through COVID, didn't we, the difference between those that already have this agreement with their employer and those that don't.
Yes, we did, and it's a significant issue. And by the way, I think it's a good idea, and the reason on that is you don't want a sick employee coming into the workplace, particularly when there's COVID around. So you want to have a situation where somebody isn't going to be there and passing it on to other staff members or to customers or clients. So there's benefits in relation to this from an employer side. It's not just a cost element as well. It's a health and safety issue as well.
Yeah, employers need to look at the bigger picture. Richard, as always, thanks for explaining things so simply for us. I appreciate it greatly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care of yourself. Richard Grogan there of Richard Grogan and Associates. So every worker in Ireland will be entitled to sick pay under a new law agreed by government. There will be 3 days of paid sick leave this year, 5 days next year, is it? Or this year? 5 days in 2024, 7 days in 2025, and 10 days up on 2026.
The 9 till noon show brought to you by Kelly's Toyota, Port Road, Letterkenny, with offers on a wide range of passenger and commercial vehicles.
Hey.
You're doing great.
Everyone needs a boost sometimes.
Is it time for yours?
COVID-19 can still cause serious illness in people who are high risk, and in those who aren't.
So even if you've already had COVID-19, your booster vaccine can protect you from getting it again.
And make your symptoms less severe if you do.
Everyone aged 12 and over can now get a booster vaccine.
Check if it's time for your booster and make an appointment on hse.ie.
For us all, from the HSE.
Aldi has everything to make this Easter extra special. Medium Cadbury cream eggs, buttons, Kit Kat and Smarties eggs just $1.65 each. That's 3 for under €5. Large Cadbury Twirl, Whisper and Maltesers eggs, just $3.99 each. And treat the kids with Easter egg hunt favourites from just 79¢. Visit Aldi or click and collect. So on your marks, egg set, go. Aldi, the home of an amazing Easter. See aldi.ie for terms and available stores. Charges apply.
New this week in Home Store and More. All towels are half price. But better hurry, because when all our half price towels are gone, they're gone. Also, all Pyrex is still half price. But when all our half price Pyrex is gone, it's definitely gone. Order online before 2 p.m. for next day delivery, or drop by your local Home Store and More. And don't forget to check out our summer range of garden furniture, barbecues, solar lights, and much more. Home Store and More. A happy home.
Are you building, rebuilding or simply improving your home? Come along to Donegal's premier gathering of home building professionals in the Northwest. Donegal New Build and Rebuild 2022 will take place in the Mount Errigal Hotel, Letterkenny. Admission is free to the 3-day event from April the 1st to April the 3rd. You'd be an April Fool to miss it.
This ad is sponsored by Efficient Renewables.
Hello there, this is Daniel O'Donnell here, and I'm delighted to be able to tell you that we're coming back to the Millennium Forum in Derry for a couple of concerts. We're going to be there on Wednesday, August 31st and Thursday, September 1st. Both these shows are going to be taped for American television, so I hope you can join us. See you then. That's the Millennium Forum, August 31st and September 1st.
Chartered physiotherapists have always had your back, but did you know we restore confidence and repair strength? Our women's health physios offer support through all life stages, from period pain, pregnancy and birth to postpartum, menopause and beyond. Treating bladder dysfunction, prolapse and pelvic pain, our physios will help you bring your body back to brilliant. To find out more, go to askthephysio.ie.
Following their recent great away win over Shelburne, Finn Harps are back in league action with 2 vital home matches. First up are champions Shamrock Rovers this Friday, followed by Drogheda United on Monday. Both matches kick off at 8 and tickets are now available at finnharps.ie. That's Harps versus Shamrock Rovers this Friday night and Drogheda United on Monday night at Finn Park. See finnharps.ie for details.
Okay, of course you would have heard earlier on, if you were listening, Michael Doherty talking about a protest which is being scheduled now for the Radisson Hotel in Letterkenny on Saturday. It's to coincide with a visit to the county, the region, by An Taoiseach, a protest also taking place in Derry. Now, it was stated during the course of that interview that they had appealed to the offices of Minister Charlie McConalogue 16 days ago, at the start of March anyway, it was, or towards the start of March, seeking a meeting. Nothing had been forthcoming in that regard. They organised this protest, and then last night, I think he said last night, that a meeting was agreed or offered, and that I think he said he'd be shoehorned into his agenda. He's looked at his agenda and it's not officially there, and that's where I think the shoehorned comment come from. So in response and in the interests of fairness and balance, Minister for Agriculture, Food and Marine, Charlie McConalogue, joins us on the programme now. Charlie, I imagine, because you're in Dublin, I'd imagine that too, that maybe you're hearing some of this second hand, but as I've tried to outline it as clearly as possible to you, do you think the criticism is fair?
Thanks, Greg. No, I don't think it's fair, and I didn't actually hear the comment, but it's been referred to me, and I've delayed a meeting there just to make sure I can clarify it on your show, because I wouldn't want there to be any question mark over the fact that there was absolute clear understanding that there would be a meeting with the Taoiseach, and that was very much part of the plan in terms of the Taoiseach's visit to the county. I had been liaising with the chairperson of the Mike Action Group, who had made a request when the Taoiseach was in the county that there be a meeting, and I gave an assurance that I would ensure that there would be a meeting, and certainly in relation to my engagement with the Taoiseach's office and the Taoiseach's commitment to this is absolutely paramount, and he has shown massive commitment and support to the Mike issue from the outset. As you know, I asked him to visit back last summer, which he did, and he met with Mike representatives at Mike Action Group at that time. And after that, then the Taoiseach had requested, working with the Minister for Housing, to put together the working group to actually fully assess the issue. And coming out of that has been massively supportive in relation to driving through and delivering on the new scheme. When the Taoiseach would have visited the county and met with the Micah Group back last summer, Greg, the scheme that was in place was a scheme that had a maximum of €275,000, you know, and was a scheme which delivered nothing in relation to what had been the 90-10 that had been outlined at the start. What's in place now is a scheme that is €425,000 based on up-to-date costings based on market, reflecting the market, and will be every year from now on. I had committed to the Mike Action Group, I think it was the 19th or 20th of March when they made contact. I'd committed to ensuring that there would be a meeting if the Taoiseach was coming. There was obviously a question mark at that stage, given the fact that the Taoiseach had contracted COVID in the States as to what exactly would be happening with the dairy. But absolutely was clear that I would ensure that there would be a meeting, and there's never been any question.
Right, so we're absolutely clear then about timings, Minister. When they reached out to you, you says, of course, that the Taoiseach's coming to the county or the region will facilitate a meeting, and it was when his agenda was being finalised, and I think he said last night that was when a time was given for what had already been agreed. Is that what your position is?
Yeah, and listen, I mean, I had committed to the chairperson of the Mike Action Group that I would ensure there'd be a meeting, and I went back to the chairperson of the Mike Action Group yesterday when I had full clarity and confirmation in relation to the timing for that. I was very keen to ensure the shared island unit, as you know, the Taoiseach, and there's a big commitment there in terms of the Northwest region to the shared island. The Taoiseach shared island unit had planned a trip to Derry and also a couple of shared island events for Donegal. Alongside that, there was always absolutely a clear commitment, and the number one priority for Donegal, the number one priority for the Taoiseach in relation to Donegal as well, is the MICA scheme. I was keen to ensure that in terms of when the Taoiseach coming from Derry to Letterkenny, that we would ensure that the meeting would be in Inishowen, given the fact that it is the centre of the challenge. Obviously, it's right across the north of the county. That did entail liaison over the last few days then with the Taoiseach Shared Island Unit in relation to moving a meeting that he had planned for Letterkenny through the Shared Island Unit to later in the day to ensure that the Taoiseach would be able to do the meeting with the MICA Group in Inishowen, because I wanted it to be in Inishowen rather than in the afternoon. I wanted to do it in Inishowen. So I got that confirmation after liaising with the Taoiseach's office over the last few days in terms of the timing of it. I relayed that to the chairperson of the Mike Action Group then yesterday afternoon, following through in the commitment I'd given to him to ensure that there would be a meeting and assuring that there would be a meeting if the Taoiseach was in the county. So that will be taking place now in South Inishowen, very much key part of the Taoiseach's agenda. Obviously the Taoiseach's support for this has been massive, Greg, and in terms of driving this on. And there was never any question mark whatsoever over the fact that he was meeting with Micah. And if you look at his track record in relation to driving this on and the government's track record, the commitment is really, really strong here. I know it's, obviously we talk regularly, and myself and yourself talk, about the frustrations around this and the challenges in relation to bringing it on, and the speed with which we're doing that's been happening. We have been driving it on as fast as we can, dealing with the many varied issues that are there.
Yeah, I guess.
I just wouldn't want there to be any question mark that this wasn't always an essential. I was disappointed when I saw the video last night saying that the Mike Action Group had been ignored, because that's certainly not the case. I've been very clear that there would be a meeting, and as I say, I liaised with the chairperson yesterday afternoon in terms of actually confirming that timing.
What do you think of protests being called now for? I suppose particularly for the Radisson in Letterkenny. Are you calling for that to be deferred, or what?
No. Listen, I'm not making any call in relation to that. That's always an issue for the Mike Action Group themselves, and everybody has the right to protest at any stage. The part that I was disappointed in is that somehow it was that the reason for the protest was because the Mike Action Group or the Mike issue was going to be ignored by the Taoiseach communities in the county, because that's simply not accurate or not the case. And there was never any question mark over that. As I say, yesterday afternoon, I followed through back to the chairperson of the Mike Group to give the confirmation.
And you've said that, okay. Right, you've timelined that for us.
And that involved a lot of preparation in advance of that, because, as I say, I was very keen to make sure that Taoiseach would come to Nishowen.
Okay.
Last time when I brought him to the county, and he came at a very short notice last time, we visited a home in Rafo and met with the Micah representatives in Letterkenny.
Yes.
There was criticism at that stage that he didn't get to Nishowen, because obviously that's the epicentre. I brought him up in 2 or 3 days' notice that time and managed to get 2 or 3 hours of a window where he could leave the northwest or the north-south ministerial council meeting and come, given, because it was really important at that time that he would meet. He then acted after that by putting in place that committee.
Okay, I
and that has
understand.
followed through to where we're at today, and his commitment is paramount here. And listen, that's not taking away from the frustration that has been there, and absolutely understandable given what's involved here for home.
And listen, it's only fair that you should have your say. You do. Just very briefly and finally, I won't defer that meeting that you've already deferred any further. Do you support the calls as it relates to IS 465 that we investigate? You know, what came out of that recent webinar, what's been out in the public domain before that, as to, you know, get to the root cause of all this. Still confused as to whether or not foundations are, which you've said twice in this programme, included in this scheme. Others saying they're not. Do you think, without delaying the progress any further, that we need to investigate further, you know, what's causing these blocks to fail?
Absolutely, Greg, and it's really crucial that IS 465 is reviewed and is updated fully to reflect the new scheme. And it's really important that we get to the absolute bottom of what transpired here, and that's part of the government's commitment and the cabinet decision that was made at the end of November as well, and which will be stepped out here. And crucially as well, obviously the work in relation to other materials which have become clear, and particularly as more testing has happened, the issue around pyrrhotite and sulfites, etc. The National Standards Authority of Ireland have been asked to update and do further assessment on that, so we can get clarity around how those can be treated. And as I said on a number of occasions in relation to foundations, they will be tested. The assessment so far is that they have been sound, but if it's found not to be the case, they will be included and the scheme updated to reflect that as well. That's been clearly said, and Minister for Housing, Darragh O'Brien, has made that very clear too.
Okay, listen, thanks for your time this morning. I appreciate it. Minister for Agriculture, Food and the Marine, Charlie McConnell-Logan, in fairness to the man, might not like what he has to say, but he does make himself available to us, which has been a criticism of people in the past, so credit where it's due in that regard. That's his response to it, and as I say, it's just in the interests of fairness and balance. It's not to necessarily contradict outright what Michael said, but listen, there's two views, and you've heard both of them this morning, and now it's up to you to make up your mind.
The 9 till noon show with Kelly's Toyota, Port Road, Letterkenny, where you can care for your Toyota with a 2-year service pack from €299.
Let's call out his name.
Mike Denver in concert with guests Philomena Begley, Ray Lynham and Brendan Shine at the Millennium Forum, Derry on Saturday, April 23rd. Tickets at the theatre box office. That's Mike Denver in concert at the Millennium Forum with Philomena Begley, Ray Lynham and Brendan Shine on Saturday, April 23rd.
For a huge selection of furniture, all at one showroom, pull into Grove Furnishings in Letterkenny. Sofas, beds, wardrobes, tables and chairs. Also a range of carpet, vinyl, rugs and laminated flooring. If it's time for a change, it's time for a visit to Grove Furnishings. Grove deliver throughout Donegal, Derry and Tyrone. Be inspired at Grove Furnishings, Kiltoy Road, Letterkenny.
For a great early season lawnmower deal, visit Gartley Sales and Hire. Exclusive stockists of Stiga in the Northwest. Mowers, trimmers and hedge trimmers. Full trade-in service available at Gartley Sales and Hire, Gartley, Letterkenny. Call 9126276.
Sportswear for women at Brian McCormick Sports and Leisure in fresh new colours and styles. Nike Pro tees and vests with matching shorts and fitness tights, perfect for working out or just for that leisure look. Under Armour offers new colours, quarter zip tops, t-shirts with matching shorts in different lengths. Complete your fitness look with the latest footwear from Nike, Asics and Brooks. Look the part, play the part, in store or online. Click and collect on bmcsports.ie.
Flanagan's massive half-price store clear-out sale starts this Saturday, 26th of March in Buncrana. 50% of Irish-made sofas, tables, beds, wardrobes, rugs and occasional furniture. Immediate delivery on everything. Furnish your home for half price. Don't miss out. www.flanagans.ie.
This Saturday, Paul McDevitt will be live from Homeland Letterkenny to mark the start of their series of Super Saturday Garden events in April. Special guest Gareth Austin will hold a garden clinic with planting demos. Offers will include buy two, get one free on shrubs and bedding, 20% off ceramic pots, garden tools, feeds and more. Someone will also win a Faro furniture set worth €350. All happening this Saturday at Homeland, Letterkenny's first Super Saturday Garden event.
Okay, welcome back to the programme Onto It. We welcome into studio David James. How are you getting on, David?
Good morning, Greg.
What's
Great
the
to
crack?
see you. Yeah, keeping well. How are you?
I'm fine. Not as busy as you are, though. Obviously, between presenting your show here, the gigs are back and you're flat out. Things are going well for you, aren't
Yeah, do you know this? Delighted to be back on the road. We've clocked up a lot of miles over the last couple of months. We were in Killarney last weekend. The weekend before that we were in England. The weekend before that we were in America doing a cruise, and this weekend we're going to Mayo and to Cavan. So delighted to be back on the road.
Yeah, exactly. And the fans are delighted to see all of the big acts back again. We're talking to you about a event that you're organising. It's David James with the Stars of Country Music. It's a Galway trip from the 9th to the 12th of October. So a wee while away. It's something to look forward to after the summer.
Definitely. And, you know, this is the first time that I've ever done a trip like this on my own. Obviously, I've been involved when Highland did a few trips. But this is the first time that it is David James with the Stars of Country Music, the Galway trip. So the 9th to the 12th of October, and we're staying in a beautiful hotel. It's the 4-star Clayton Hotel, so if you've ever stayed there you'll know that it is a lovely hotel.
Clayton hotels are generally nice.
Do you know this? The general consensus that we're getting back from the people who have booked already is they just can't wait to get back out there, and we've had great interest so far and a lot of people have booked already, so we're delighted with that.
Yeah, and there's something about these trips too that, you know, everything's organised for you, isn't it? You don't have to worry about how much is the bus, how much is the hotel, you know, what gigs can I go into and pick and choose. This is everything's laid on for you, and that's why these trips prove so popular, isn't it?
Yeah, we have everything sorted out. So we've got luxury coach transport from here in Donegal and the surrounding counties. We'll also have a coach or two leaving from Bridgend. You know, you've got a host of stars joining us. Who have we got? We've got Mike Denver and his band. We're delighted that they're joining us, and Michael English and his super band as well. Myself and the band will be there. Also Patrick Feeney, Sean Keane, something a little bit different with Sean Keane, John Hogan, Louise Morrissey, Olivia Douglas and the Ryan Turner Band. And as you said, we've got everything sorted out. So we've got 3 nights in the hotel, dinner, bed and breakfast, and admission to all the shows. There's afternoon entertainment included, use of the leisure facilities. There's going to be a late bar each night. We're going to be going down there till about 3 in the morning or so, and we're really excited about it, to be honest.
Yeah, it's all day, isn't it? If you like music in the afternoon, you like your concert style stuff, or you like that nice buzz in the early hours.
Yeah, so we've got 2 nights of dancing in the main function room and 1 night of concert, and then the 3 nights we'll have the late night entertainment, and we'll also have something, some afternoon entertainment and all
Good
the
stuff.
afternoons too.
It's $389 per person. That includes your 3 nights in a B&B and all your entertainment as you've been outlining. And if you want to secure your place now, because people say, well, I don't have the $389 right now, but I can get 100 together, you know, to book your seat. that a deposit secures your seat right now.
Yeah, a €100 deposit secures your seat, and you can do that by emailing the galwaytrip@gmail.com, or you can do it online at davidjamesmusic.co.uk, or you can give Mary Duffy a call on 087 628 0526.
All right, these things sell out, so if you don't want people to miss out, if people out there, and there's going to be lots of them, are interested, now's the time to get in contact, I think.
Yeah.
Lay the £100 down, and then you've got something in October to look forward
Exactly, and a big thanks to everyone who has booked already. We're excited to have you on board, and as Greg mentioned, we've got it all sorted. Luxury coach transport.
And you've gone from being interviewed to co-presenting now.
Yeah, I know, but sure. Why not? 3 nights, dinner, bed and breakfast. It was always my dream to co-present with you, and I thought, you know what? I've got the opportunity today. I'm co-presenting the 9 till noon show. Can't wait to go home and tell my
mum. For
mum.
the next hour and 16 minutes, sure, we'll have a bit of crack. All right. Listen, it's exciting. It's a big undertaking, a lot of organisation in something like this as well.
Yeah.
Pulling the acts together, contacting the hotels, the entertainment, to make sure that people, because, you want people to come back and they say, wow, that was amazing. That's how it works.
Exactly.
To keep everyone having just the best time possible.
Yeah, and the groups that have booked already, there's it seems to be just a general buzz of excitement, and as you said, we've had a lot of organising in this, so contacting the hotel to get the hotel secured for the 4 days that we're going to be there, sorting out everybody's coaches, the entertainment, there's a lot of phone calls, a lot of emails, but we've got there in the end, and we've got it pulled together, and I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be a great trip, and also we have some people coming from the UK and Scotland and Wales, so that's going to be a first for me to have people over from across the water to see one of our shows.
Great stuff, brilliant. It's October 9th to 12th, and it is in Galway, which is it's not that far away. I don't want to sound like a stick in the mud here, but you get to see a lovely city as well when you're down there, but you're not on a bus for hours and hours and hours on end. We're quite used to that journey up here in the Northwest. And some of the best of entertainment: Mike Denver, yourself, Michael English, Ryan Turner, Olivia Douglas, Louise Morrissey, John Hogan, isn't it? Sean Keane and Patrick Feeney. All right, listen, best of luck with it. Best of luck with everything that's going on. That's a big night on Tuesday, isn't it? The
Hot Country Awards
deferred about 2 or 3 times, I think, with everything that's going on.
Yeah, the Hot Country Awards are up this Tuesday. Delighted to be part of that, and fingers crossed we might come back down to Donegal with an award of some sort anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they have to give you something. Although there's that many artists at it. Everyone's not a winner, but it's good. It's good. And why not you, David? You're doing an awful lot and entertaining an awful lot of people. Listen, thanks for that. The best of luck with the trip. You can book online, davidjamesmusic.co.uk. All right, listen, thanks very much for that.
Thanks, Greg.
Take care of yourself, and you're back on this afternoon, of course, aren't you?
Back on 2:30 this afternoon.
All right, looking forward to it.
The 9 till noon show brought to you by Kelly's Toyota, Port Road, Letterkenny, home of the new Pro A City, your perfect business partner.
With passengers boarding for the holiday of a lifetime, please go woo!
Highland Radio wants to send you on the holiday of a lifetime.
Worth €10,000.
Plus $5,000 spending money. Woo!
Get your ticket now at highlandradio.com. Answer the question and start packing. Start packing.
Woo-hoo! Draw takes place April 14th on the 9 till noon show.
Start planning your ultimate getaway. Only on Highland Radio.
Here at Pet Value St Mary's Road, Buncrana, we have some amazing opening offers. There's 25% of Royal Canine dog food and cat food. There's 25% of Beta and Gain dog food. And there's 25% of Red Mills Leader dog food. For all cat lovers, we have 90 cat pouches for an incredible €13.50. 12 premium cat tins for only €6. And Whiskas 40-pack only €15. All available while stocks last. Pet Value. It's all in the name.
When you get the M&S app, you get the good stuff. Good stuff that comes from Sparks, the M&S reward scheme. Like personalised offers tailored just for you. Easy breezy shopping and returns too. Good stuff like the chance to get your shopping for free. A donation to your chosen Sparks charity every time you shop. And good stuff like little treats because, well, who doesn't like a little treat every now and then? Download the M&S app today and get the good stuff. Terms and conditions apply. See marksandspencer.ie for details.
Finn Harps are back in action after the international break with 3 home games in a row. The first 2 are this Friday, April 1st against Shamrock Rovers and next Monday the 4th against Drogheda United. Join us on Highland for updates from the 8 o'clock kick-off from both games.
Finn Harps on Highland in association with B&S Credit Union Ballybofey, where their special car loan rate is now on offer. Own your car from the start with a fast, flexible and affordable loan from B&S Credit Union. Visit bnscu.ie or free phone 1800 290 390. B&S Credit Union Limited is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. It's no longer a secret. At Functional Foods, we have excellent value on everyday food products for that special occasion or party. So keep your food bill down without compromise on quality and value. Check out our regular promotions on Facebook or call and see what we have to offer as we open to the public Monday to Saturday. Opening hours on Facebook. Located in Trio Food Yard, Ballyreen Road, next to LYIT.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Enjoy stress-free travel this summer with Ryanair's brand new services to Birmingham, Edinburgh and Manchester. Ireland West Airport. You're flying.
All right, you're well familiar with the fact that the weather's changed a little bit. There's going to be showery rain, cloudy conditions with showery rain this morning, spreading down from the north. It's going to introduce much colder weather along with a freshening northeast breeze. Drier and brighter weather will follow for later in the afternoon for us here in the northwest and in the evening. With a few showers of rain or hail. Temperatures just 5 to 8 degrees and cold and frosty overnight with mostly clear skies. There'll be a few wintry showers too around on high ground. Temperatures overnight tonight -3 to 0. So a big change in the weather. Your lawns are in for a shock if you cut them short, if you're lucky enough to have one. Right, okay, so we know the story with P&O Ferries, don't we? They unceremoniously sacked around 800 of their workers, a lot of them via video, via a Zoom call. They hired a load of agency workers. Obviously, you know, that's kicked up a stink. So what did they do? They sent in the health and safety. 2 of their ferries now are locked down effectively because they aren't being deemed fit to go to water. And there's a lot of politics going on here, a lot of back and forwards between the states, between the likes of the British government, of course, their agents, the ferry operators. Who's caught in the middle? Who's really getting the hit? Well, it's the workers, of course, but also customers amongst them. John, good morning to you.
Morning, Greg.
Right, so you have a booking with P&O from Larne to Carnryan, isn't it?
That's right, yeah.
It's for Tuesday, next Tuesday. Do you know if it's going ahead or not?
That's the problem, Greg. I don't know. I've been trying to contact them, but I sent them an email yesterday and they told me that that was not a made thing, you know. It just says that they have contact with me within 28 days.
But that's no use to you. You need contact at the very least within a couple of days.
Yeah. So I Googled someone this morning there and it come up and it says that Larne to Carnryan are not running the next few days, that for to seek alternative routes. So I don't know what to do. I'm not good in the computer. My daughter normally does it, but she works during the day, you see.
So you're hamstrung until she's available. That's all right. Well, that's what we have them for. They have to be of some use down the line, John. But that being said, you know, you want to know what the story is. Also, you've paid them presumably.
I paid, yeah.
So they've got your money.
Yeah, my money. Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah, exactly. So you don't want to have 2 bookings out there. Even if you're lucky enough to get another sailing on the Tuesday, you want to make sure you're going to get. Can you cancel it and get a refund? But if you're only getting automated response, where does that leave you?
Yeah, that's the problem, you see, because I was just checking. There is a ferry going from Belfast to Carnryan on Tuesday morning, but do I pay for that or what? I don't know what to do because I have accommodation booked in England, you see.
Yeah, my sense would be, John, if you can book it, because I can't see P&O getting all the problems they have sorted between now and next Tuesday. I could be wrong, but you can't be sitting there on Monday in the same position as you are today either, can you?
I know, that's the problem, you see. But will I get my money back or what's the problem?
Well, that's what we'll do. What we'll do is we'll put a call out because, you know, with our connection with Scotland and what have you, there's lots of people hopefully that will have been through this and know the answer to it. So did you have a booking out there with P&O? And obviously you don't want to roll the dice on whether or not it's going to sail, so maybe you booked something else. Did you get a refund to help John out here so he knows what the story is? Because none of us can afford to be laying out for 2 trips on the hope of getting a refund on one, John.
That's right, yeah. Craig, that's true, yeah.
All right, okay. Well, listen, we'll see if our listeners can help. They normally do with some advice. I would say a lot of people might be thinking about booking that other route, and you don't want to lose out on that either.
That's the problem, you see.
That disturbs the trip and your accommodation. You just want to have it sorted so you can set your mind to enjoying your trip over there.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Okay. Well, listen, we'll if we get any information, we'll pass it on to you. Obviously, P&O are up to the ears, so we will send an email to them. Whether or not we get a response, I don't know. But I think the key thing here is, at this point, John, it's the refund, isn't it? That's really what...
Yeah, that's right.
Because you never know what, even if they says not, it's going ahead on Tuesday. The way things are going, you don't know if that could change on the Monday evening. So if I were you, and if you could, I'd get booked on the other service, and then we'll try and find out what the crack is in terms of getting your money back from P&O. They're not in liquidation. They're still an operating company. So hopefully you should get your money back. But let us see if any other listeners have had any success and how they did it, John, and we'll pass it on to you, and so you and your daughter can sort it out this evening, maybe.
Thanks very much.
All right, John. Listen, and enjoy. I'm sure you'll get over there. Enjoy your trip. I'm sure it'll be. Hopefully, it's a pleasure trip and nothing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Is it? Good man. We'll have one for me, will you?
Thank you.
All right. Take care. We'll check into that. But it's over to you, please, our wonderful listeners. Are any of you in a similar situation to John, particularly if you've got a resolution to it, ideally, and we can help him in that regard. A caller says the Irish government are using donations from Irish people and Irish taxpayers' money to help Ukraine in the understanding they'll get contracts to rebuild Ukraine. Capitalism is merciless and ruthless. That's coming in from Patrick in Dunlow. Maybe. I don't know. My mind can't be that analytical at this point. The way I look at it is as much as we can try and put pressure on Russia to stop what they're doing. Let Ukrainians live where they want to live in their own homeland. And you know what? I'm sure Ireland will do quite well in helping rebuild Ukraine as well. That's the way it works. That's the awful situation. That's the cycle of it, isn't it? You know, some countries make money supplying the bombs and the weapons and from war, and then other countries will make money during the rebuilding process. That's us. That's what we are, humans, sadly. Hello, Greg. Do you know how the public can assist the Ukraine people who are moving into towns here in Donegal? I've had lots of questions like this. I know people with homes in rural areas, and they don't know who to contact. They're prepared to, even, if they do Airbnb, they're prepared to not do that this summer and offer their homes. But obviously they don't want to be out of pocket. I don't know. But it's very hard to get answers. At the moment, it seems to me they want to put them in towns, near schools, in hotels, and they're going to build 2 big centres for them in Cork and Dublin to house them in tents, large tents. I don't know beyond that. It's hard to get information. Hi, Greg, listening from Dublin. Will the mandatory sick days be pro rata, i.e. 10 days for a full-time employee, for example, but less accordingly for a part-time employee? I would imagine so. Unfortunately, I don't have the knowledge to have asked that question. Let's see if Jean can help John, though. Right, Jean, how are you getting on?
Not so bad.
Right, okay, so maybe you heard John there. He's booked for next Tuesday. Your daughter was booked on Saturday. That's not running. She managed to get an alternative booking. Do you know what the story is, Jean, at this point as it relates to the money P&O have of hers?
She booked for the Saturday. She was booked to go back on the Saturday, and she realised that the sailing wasn't going, and they contacted her and told her to rebook with another company, which she did. She booked with Stena and sailed on the Saturday morning, and on the Saturday morning she got a text from P&O asking for her bank details so that they could refund the money, and she gave them the bank details, and within 2 days the money was in her account. Okay,
so maybe we could presume then that once the ferry doesn't sail, that's when they start dealing with the refund. So John might get an email or contact from them on the Tuesday of his sailing.
Yeah, he should get an email, either the Monday or the Tuesday, probably the Monday,
to
give him time to rebook.
Right, okay, that's good advice. All right, then, that's your experience, your daughter's experience. Brilliant stuff. Was it last Saturday or next Saturday? It was last
Saturday. No, it was a week past Saturday.
Okay, brilliant. Jean, listen, thanks for that. That's reassuring. Take care of yourself. Thanks for listening. Thanks for calling in. Hopefully that's a bit of good advice for John there.
The 9 till noon show brought to you by Kelly's Toyota. Test drive Toyota's incredible self-charging hybrid range at our showroom, Port Road, Letterkenny.
Hart apparently chose this site because it has a sort of microclimate, because we're in a real valley here. And he thought that because of his interest in botany, he thought he could do something with that. We purchased the location, not the house, and we didn't even know there were gardens here of any interest.
Okay. That's Down the Garden Path, a new series Wednesday nights on Highland Radio, after the news at 8 p.m.
Big plans won't mean big repayments with a home improvement loan from Inishowen Credit Union. Whether you're converting the attic, changing the kitchen or doing work to the garden, talk to us today. With rates starting from 6.18 APR, no hidden fees or charges and fast loan decisions, we have the perfect loan for you. Apply online at inishowencu.ie or call us on 93-61017. Membership of Inishowen Credit Union is open to anyone who lives or works in the Inishowen Peninsula. All loans are subject to approval. Terms and conditions apply. Inishowen Credit Union is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Electric Ireland customers don't need to do a thing to get Ireland's lowest standard unit rate. That's nothing. Zip? Zero. Because they're already on it. Electric Ireland. We're brighter together. Estimated annual bill €1,274 based on 24-hour residential electricity credit meter standard unit rates, including PSO levy and VAT. Published provider rates at 1st of January 2022, subject to change. For comparison, see electricireland.ie/lowest unit rate. T's and C's apply. See electricireland.ie.
Hi, Gavin here from iMotors. Does your car need to be serviced? All cars serviced at iMotors in Letterkenny and Malin will receive complimentary 12-month AA breakdown assistance as part of your service package. To book your car in, call us today on 074 913 4567.
Join John Breslin and the Highland Radio Outside broadcast team this Friday from 12 till 2:30 p.m. for a live broadcast from the Mount Erical Hotel for the start of the 3-day Donegal New Build and Rebuild Home Show. Admission is free to this event. John will be speaking to some of the exhibitors and organisers to preview this show. So join John Breslin from the Donegal New Build and Rebuild Home Show at the Mount Erical Hotel, Letterkenny this Friday afternoon.
Okay, coming up in the next hour, our Wellness Wednesday focus will be on motor neuron disease, of course, with the week that's in it. That and much more besides. Stay right where you are, but at 11 o'clock we're going to cross over to Donald Kavanagh for the latest news. Good morning, Donald.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. The Foreign Affairs Minister has told the Dáil the proposal by the British government to introduce an electronic travel authorisation system would have serious consequences for Donegal. The issue was raised in the Dáil last night by three of Donegal's opposition TDs. They highlighted their belief that this would compromise the cross-border freedom of movement, which is enshrined in the Good Friday Agreement. They also expressed fear this could lead to the reintroduction of border checks. Simon Coveney said the government will do all it can to ensure this measure does not go through. Ukraine's military says Russian pledges to scale back operations in two key cities represent nothing more than an attempt to mislead. The Kremlin is withdrawing forces from the outskirts of Kiev, but Western officials believe they're being redeployed elsewhere. Russia's announcement came following the start of peace talks in Turkey. A 36-year-old man detained in Strabane yesterday in connection with a shooting incident in the Spring Hill Park area in February has been released without charge. The PSNI say their investigations into the incident are continuing. The designation of the new Atlantic Technological University represents far more than just a name change. That's the conclusion of research carried out on behalf of the Northern and Western Regional Assembly, which found the ATU will contribute at least €700 million in economic output and support just over 3,100 jobs every year. The new university officially comes into being on Friday, with the governing body convening for the first time at ATU Donegal in Letterkenny, formerly LYIT. The governing body will confirm ATU presidential designate Dr. Orla Flynn as the president of the body. The ATU will be formally opened on Monday. Irish workers are to be entitled to mandatory sick pay for the first time under new laws. The Cabinet has approved a bill giving employees the right to take 3 sick days by the end of the year. That will rise to 5 next year, 7 the following year, and by 2026 the figure will be 10. And Donegal County Council is being urged to complete work on a listed bridge in the Twin Towns. The bridge, which links Ballybofey and Stranraer, had deteriorated, and a number of years ago the TII and Donegal County Council carried out repair works on one side. However, that was halted when other works began in the area, and the council wanted to minimise disruption to the local community. Local councillor Patrick McGowan says it's now time to finish the job which was started on that bridge. Well, there are the headlines. We're back with headlines again at 12 noon.
Okay, Donald, sorry for the delay. Thank you very much for that. Okay, back with more, our Wellness Wednesday item after the break.
Got my qualifications, a few years' experience under my belt, but what now? I feel like there should be more. A next step, advancement, a new challenge.
From aircraft technicians and engineers to fitters, carpenters, medical professionals and chefs, the Irish Defence Forces now have exciting and rewarding opportunities for anyone looking to move their career to the next level. So if you want to experience a life less ordinary, visit military.ie now to find out more.
Yeah, indeed. A caller says, Greg, just warn people that they're absolutely sure it's P&O that are contacting them before they hand over their details. Scammers could jump all over that one. Yes, great advice, actually, by the way, because they might look for bank details to offer that refund. Okay, thanks for that. Right, our Wellness Wednesday now is focusing on motor neuron disease. And we have two people who are joining us to discuss this. Firstly, Kathy Callahan. Kathy, good morning to you. Thanks very much for joining us.
Hi, Greg. How are you?
I'm good. And how are you?
Hi, good.
Good stuff. Emma Dillon also joins us now. Hi, Emma. How are you keeping?
I'm good, yeah.
Okay, very, very good indeed. Okay. Right, we'll start with you, Emma, if you don't mind, because your husband, Diddler, had motor neuron disease. He was in studio with us, actually, to discuss his diagnosis, his condition. He was first diagnosed in early 2019. Isn't that correct, Emma?
It was the 2nd January 2019. We got the diagnosis. At that time, it was really just his legs that were affected. Quickly progressed on to his arms, but it was relatively well all through the summer up until about August. We started to notice differences in his breathing, and all just sort of went downhill from there.
And very, very quickly, an awful shock to you, because Diddler obviously very active, very well known, very well loved as well too. It's just, you wouldn't expect it. It just was a diagnosis out of the blue.
It was. He had been having problems with his leg from late 2018. We put it down to an injury from his running, because he did so much running. So it just came like a bolt out of the blue to us then. Just not expected, definitely not expected.
And because things moved so quickly, you didn't really get to engage much with the Motor Neuron Disease Association, which of course will benefit from all the fundraising this weekend, because things just happened so quickly.
They did. You're right. We really didn't get an awful lot from the charity because of that fact. He didn't need an awful lot of equipment and stuff at home, apart from his wheelchair and that. And then it was while he went into hospital and the hospice that everything went downhill. So the charity weren't able to help us, but I know they're so good to so many other families that need it.
Yeah. And of course, what we've seen since Charlie Bird's appearance on the Late Late Show was a huge outpouring of support, of sympathy, and of course motivating people to take part in these walks. You as a family enjoyed the same level of support from your community. It was really quite remarkable, wasn't it? How people rallied behind you and wanted to just do everything that they could.
It was totally unbelievable. We got that diagnosis and your whole world's just upside down, and then you see this great community that you live in and people couldn't do enough for us. That for me was really, really unexpected. And for him, I know like it was amazing. All the fundraisers, the different events, things that he was able to go to, it was amazing. People are just so good.
What's the last wee while been like for you, Emma? I wonder. Do you know? Because obviously it's very recent for you, and I presume you're still very much dealing with the loss and the grief. And then we have someone with the same condition speaking publicly. So it's obviously it's a reminder for you. But are you pleased that there's more awareness? It must just be a big bag of different emotions for you.
It's very mixed emotions. It did take me a while to watch the Charlie Bird interview. I had it recorded. It took me a while to go back to watch it, but I think it's amazing what he's done, because it just feels like the whole country is now talking about MND, and I think that's so important to get that message across of how awful of a disease that it actually is. But at the same time, it just brings so many memories back to me and to the girls. It's very mixed emotions, but I think it's just amazing what he's doing, and you just want to do anything you can to support him and to help anybody that you can.
Yeah, for sure, no doubt about that. And we're going to talk about the walk that you're involved in, so stay with us for that, because I mentioned and we said hello to Kathy Callahan. Yours is a similar story in that it is a family member dealing with motor neuron disease, but it was your mum, your beautiful mum Winnie, that was affected by this awful disease, Kathy.
Yeah, mum started back in end of October, start of November 2016. She started limping, like it was her left foot started limping, and she was getting seen. She was down in the Kelly and thought it was like plantar's foot or something along them lines. Like they weren't sure. Like we never thought anything. We didn't think it was bad. Just she was limping. But then it just progressively got worse, and then it did get that bad now that she was going into hospital, and she may got admitted for a night, and then she came out again, and it happened a few times. But then in the start of March 2017, she was admitted for 2 weeks, and she, at the time, I didn't know what was going on. Like we didn't think, we just weren't aware of it. And then she went down to Galway to get the test. I remember saying, go down the ambulance, down for 20 minutes and back up again. And it was that following week, Wednesday. It was a Wednesday, 22nd of March. She got the news in. Her and Dad got the news in that she had motor neurons.
And I'm sure one of the most difficult conversations they ever had was explaining it to you, Kathy. And it's such a devastating diagnosis. How do you tell your daughter or your children such news? It must have been awful for them.
Yeah, because I remember coming back from school. It was me and my 2 brothers and my little sister. I remember coming back from school, and like it's just clear as day in my head. And their mum was just like, "It was something to tell you." Got the results back, and it's motor neuron, and we didn't know what it was. We were told, like, we never heard of anybody ever having it before, and we were like younger as well. Like we were about 13, we were 16, and we just weren't aware, but we knew it was bad. We just bawled crying, and we shouldn't have locked it up and stuff, but it was just day never forget. And then from then on, like Mum just started to go downhill really, really quick now. She just, her left leg, then her right leg, her left arm, then her right arm, and it went so quick. And this is Emma's too, like the breathing difficulties. The only thing though, that just about 2 weeks before Mum's passing, that was when her voice started to go, which we're so grateful for in a way, because anybody that knew Mammy always said you'd always hear her before you see her. She was so loud, and she had this big infectious laugh, and for that it was good that we still had her there. We could talk to her and everything, so it was so nice in that way. But it was very quick now, and it's just
were you told at the time, Kathy, how quick it might be? Because for some people it things progress incredibly quickly, and for others it can be prolonged. Were they able to give you an indication as to how long you had left with your mum?
They told normal it would be 1 to 2 years. We were told roughly, but it was 6 months exactly, nearly from diagnosis, 22nd March, and she passed away on 24th September. So it was 6 months. Like, and you look it up, and people, they pass within the year. Other people could live 20 years. It's individual to everybody. You can never look at one person's story with it and compare it to someone else's, because everybody is so different. Like, the symptoms, everybody is completely different. But yeah, we were told roughly 1 to 2 years, but we had 6 months. So
it must be so tough talking to you. I mean, it's some people lose their mums or dads and they never get an opportunity to talk, and then you obviously had an opportunity to talk about things, and sometimes you wonder which is better. I know that sounds like an absolutely awful thing to say, if you know what I mean, but figuring out how to talk about someone dying but also living in the moment for that period of time, and especially as your mum was able to speak to you so close to her, and it must have just been so tough for you, Kathy, and the rest of your family. Or maybe it was a blessing. It just depends on how it was for you, I suppose.
Yeah, it was, like as Emma knows, like, it is the most cruelest disease, like, could have happened to anybody. It is so cruel, and watching like someone you love going through it, you would never wish it upon anybody. It is so cruel. But yeah, I suppose, like, we had the 6 months, but like the same time, at least Mommy wasn't suffering for a number of years. It was, you wouldn't want to look at her suffer for that long. She was so independent, and throughout it all, she was so strong. Because Mum cares for my little sister Louise. She's confined in a wheelchair. She is spina bifida, and she just was so strong for Louise and for all of us to because she just wanted not for us to worry. She was so selfless that way. Sorry, that she was always thinking about everybody else. She was so strong for all of us. It really helped us in a way. But
what a woman with what she's going through, and she was able to. I mean, she sounds. All our mums are brilliant, but she sounds particularly brilliant, and I've no doubt, Kathy, that she's looking down on you today, full of pride. And I don't mean that patronising, but she'll be really, really proud of how well you're speaking and the beautiful tribute to your mum. I think it's absolutely amazing what you're doing.
Thank you,
Emma. Again, it's that time, I suppose, between diagnoses and watching your loved one, your soulmate, changing and having to deal themselves with what they're going through. That's the awful thing about this disease, isn't it, Emma?
It is. It really is. And there is very little you can do to help them. Like, they're losing their independence more and more every day, and they're having to depend on you. And like, Paul was so active, so able, and just overnight then not able to do anything for himself. And that, I know, was very hard for him. But he never complained. Like, it was what it was. He just got on with it. But it's very hard, and it's very hard for wee children. Like, my youngest wee girl was only 1.5 years at the time. It's very hard for them to understand what's happening around them.
Yeah, and that's now on you two as well, going forward to sort of obviously make sure they know exactly who their dad was and is, but also looking after yourself and looking after them and everything else. It's it's ongoing for you too, Emma.
It is. It definitely is. They're the reason for everything now. They're the reason to get us up in the morning, and just to make him proud of the way that they're turning out, because they're great girls, and they're what's kept me motivated since.
Kathy, I'll ask you just about this national conversation that's going now, thanks to Charlie Bird and him, using the platform he has through his difficult times to talk about it. Has it helped you in that maybe, your immediate family and friends will understand, what happened to your mum, Winnie? Is it helping you that maybe everyone understands what you went through and what this disease is, and maybe reinvigorate efforts to try and come up with better treatments or earlier diagnoses or whatever it might be? Like, is this conversation that's happening nationally helping you?
Oh, 100%. Like the time Mommy passed, I don't think a lot of people even ourselves, before Mum's diagnosis, we didn't even know what motor neurons was, and a lot of people don't and still don't know. But like, the awareness that Charlie Bird has brought to it is, like, it's unbelievable, because I remember the time that, like, mommy was diagnosed, and like the Irish Motor Neuron Disease Association, they did help us. There was amazing nurse, Ethna Colley. She got everything that mommy possibly needed. She was amazing, but she was only one of 4 nurses covering the whole of Ireland. And like there is a lot of people with motor neurons now, and it's obviously you hear more about it now. I think that's not enough to cover the whole nation. Like but
I think if you had
and
said to me there was 2 in Donegal, I would have sort of wondered, is that enough?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because and that's coming from a place of ignorance. But when you talk about 4 covering the whole country, that clearly is not enough. And I suppose that's what we're doing here.
Yeah.
We're trying to raise money for the Motor Neuron Association, and hopefully the HSC, whatever role they have, they will step in as well to try and increase that, because that is a huge workload and a huge, even geographically, to cover that amount of space.
Yeah, I think there may be more now, but at that time there was only 4. But even to the neurologist, Dr. Murphy, even in Sligo, like he was saying I can't really remember the name of the tablet, but there was only 1 tablet, and that tablet was being used for the past 20 years. There was no update in research, or like as in not research, but there was nothing updated. You know, there was no more medication, using the same medication the past 20 years, and there's bound to be
There's
something
so many
different.
advances elsewhere.
Yeah,
Why are we not advancing with this? Okay. Emma, can you talk to us about the walk or climb that you're being involved in, and if people in your local community want to support? There is a I Donate as well, by the way, but can you talk to me what the plan is for Saturday, Emma?
Sure. When we were deciding what we were going to do, I sort of wanted to keep it as local as possible to make it as accessible for everyone as I could. So I decided to go with Green and Afalia for 2 reasons: just that it was local, and as well it was a place that Paul really loved up there. So it just worked out well for me. So what we're doing is we're having people park in Newton Village, and there are shuttle buses running people down to the starting point, which is just down at Burt. So when they arrive there, then they can just make their way and start the walk, make their way up to Greenan, and we'll have tea and whatever up the top for everyone then. And again, the bus will run to bring people back to their cars at the end.
Right, okay. So it's all really well organised. The fee is €10 for adults, and children are free. They can be paid directly to the I Donate page. There's a link. I think you might check out Emma Dillon's Facebook, but the link, I'll share this on my Facebook as well. Emma Dillon's fundraising, but we'll share the link because it's a massive URL. What's Saturday going to be like, Emma, do you think? Because it's people coming together to for a brilliant cause, to be part of something really big locally and nationally. It's also going to be another opportunity to remember Diddler. I'm sure there'll be people there exchanging stories and conversations and memories. You will be there. Obviously, we've talked about the loss, but also I suppose there's a joy in people coming together. What do you think the day will hold?
I think it will be a very special day. I think, as you say, a lot of people coming together, people that we won't have seen for such a long time between lockdowns and everything else. And a lot of stories about him. But I just know that he would be so happy to see all these people coming together for him and also for the MND Association. I know he would be really happy with that.
Yeah, and I think people taking part, in a way, will be doing it in his name. So the euros that they're donating, it's in remembrance of Diddler as well. And I think that's a beautiful honour to him.
It is, and it means so much to me and to the 3 years. It's unbelievable. It's great.
Well, listen, fair play, Emma, and thanks for joining us. And keep strong and keep moving forward. And we thank you so much for speaking to us.
Thank you so much.
All right, take care of yourself. It's really nice to have you on the programme. And Kathy, talk to me about the walk that or is it a climb or a walk that you're taking part in?
We're doing a walk. We're doing it down at Crossroads Killygordon. Like that's where Mum grew up and that's where we all live now. So we're just keeping it local as well, and also making it accessible to everybody because not everybody can climb mountains. So we're just keeping it local now. So it's starting at the Crossroads Procol Hall at 2:30. on Saturday, and it's actually a loop. So we call it the back of the wall, but it's up past the Right Hughes pitch at Mount Hall, and then across Drumfergus, down to Arnagana Road, and it leads you back then into the Parochial Hall at the cross. So,
and I like this one because it's just under 5k.
Yeah. There's a big hill though, to be fair, but it's all downhill after that.
Well, when I walk up hills backwards, it feels like it's downhill. Come here. And in terms of donations, what's the Facebook page, Kathy?
It's called Walk with Winnie. If you search that up, there's more information and stuff on there, and the donation page is also on there. So we're just donations on the day, or into the donation page. So.
And again,
yeah, there's refreshments afterwards.
You talked about Winnie and her involvement with the likes of the Donegal branch of the Spina and Hydrocephalus organisation. And I know all her colleagues really, really miss her very much because they're messaging in. And as you say, she's a big personality. You'd maybe hear her before you see her. And again, just like Diddler, people will be taking part in this. Maybe a nice opportunity to remember your mum and all the good times and to raise money for this great cause in her name. And let's do something about full nurses for an entire country, Kathy.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Okay. Again, without sounding patronising, you've done absolutely fantastic and made your mummy really, really proud. And we appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you so much, Greg.
All right, take
Thank
care of
you.
yourself. That's Kathy there. All right, bye-bye, Kathy. Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye-bye. Thank you very much indeed. Right. Okay, Greg, can you get MND at any age? You know, listen, maybe it's an opportunity for us to talk about that side of it. I don't know enough to say one way or other, but if there are questions like that, I'll get a professional. Winnie was such a lovely lady, so colourful in every way. We all miss her at the Donegal branch of the Spina and Hydrocephalus. Well done, Kathy. Your mummy would be so, so proud. Greg, both ladies have mentioned that the legs were first symptoms they noticed in their loved ones. Would it be okay to ask them if they could elaborate on what that means, it means by that? Yes, and as I say, maybe it's something we can go back and talk about again, and maybe you're having an issue with your leg and it might worry you. See your GP. It's like a lot of things. It's not often it is what we fear it might be, but the best way to get that sorted is to just go and get it checked out. It's a limp is how they were describing it in one leg, then it progressed to the other. Okay, listen, I think it's going to be a wonderful weekend for all of you taking part in these walks and climbs, and you've heard right there, and as Emma said, they didn't have enough time with Diddler for him to benefit from the services of the the Motor Neurone Disease Association. But you heard then from Kathy and how it benefited their family. A beautiful, wonderful nurse, coming in and assisting them. But only 4 of them across the country, according to Kathy. That's what we're all doing it for at the weekend, and of course as well, money being raised for Pieta. Okay, that was Wellness Wednesday. We'll be back with more on the 9 till noon show after these messages.
The 9 till noon show brought to you by Kelly's Toyota, Port Road, Letterkenny, home of the new Pro A City, your perfect business partner.
Let's call out his name. Mike Denver in concert with guests Philomena Begley, Ray Lynham and Brendan Shine at the Millennium Forum Derry on Saturday, April 23rd. Tickets at the theatre box office. That's Mike Denver in concert at the Millennium Forum with Philomena Begley, Ray Lynham and Brendan Shine on Saturday, April 23rd.
If you've got magic moments or great memories captured on your smartphone, now is a great time to have them printed at mcgees.ie. Simply upload your favourite photos, choose your size and finish, and McGee's will take care of the rest, with the results delivered to your door. Prices are from just 12 cents, and there's also creative options available. Preserve your memories today at mcgees.ie.
Join John Breslin and the Highland Radio Outside broadcast team this Friday from 12 till 2:30 p.m. for a live broadcast from the Mount Erical Hotel for the start of the 3-day Donegal New Build and Rebuild Home Show. Admission is free to this event. John will be speaking to some of the exhibitors and organisers to preview this show. So join John Breslin from the Donegal New Build and Rebuild Home Show at the Mount Erical Hotel, Letterkenny, this Friday afternoon.
New this week in Home Store and More. All towels are half price. But better hurry, because when all our half price towels are gone, they're gone. Also, all Pyrex is still half price. But when all our half price Pyrex is gone, it's definitely gone. Order online before 2 p.m. for next day delivery or drop by your local Home Store and More. And don't forget to check out our summer range of garden furniture, barbecues, solar lights and much more. Home Store and More. A happy home.
Here at Pet Value St Mary's Road, Buncrana, we have some amazing opening offers. There's 25% of Royal Canine dog food and cat food. There's 25% of Beta and Gain dog food. And there's 25% of Red Mills Leader dog food. For all cat lovers, we have 90 cat pouches for an incredible €13.50. 12 premium cat tins for only €6. And Whiskas 40-pack only €15. All available while stocks last. Pet Value. It's all in the name.
Passengers boarding for the holiday of a lifetime, please go.
Highland Radio wants to send you on the holiday of a lifetime.
Worth €10,000.
Plus $5,000 spending money.
Get your ticket now at highlandradio.com. Answer the question and start packing. Start packing.
Draw takes place April 14th on the 9 Till Noon show.
Start planning your ultimate getaway. Only on Highland Radio.
If I learned one thing in the last year, it's that falling into debt can happen to anyone. Luckily, I heard about the ISI, the Insolvency Service of Ireland. Their professional advisors can help you restructure or even write off your debt. The first thing they said to me was, every debt problem has a solution. I can still feel the relief. So if you're worried, visit their website backontrack.ie or free text Get Help to 50015.
The ISI. Together, we'll get you back on track. This is an initiative of the Government of Ireland.
At Centra, we're at the heart of the community, so we go to great lengths to help you live your best life. Fresh bread, finest meals, fantastic offers, all the good feels. Not to mention a fabulous wide range of our own brand favourites. And as for off-licence, we've been to the 4 corners of the world so you can enjoy the best wines and beers locally. At Centra, we've got everything you need. Centra. Live every day. Enjoy it sensibly.
Attention pet owners, do you ever wonder what is the best food for your dog? Organic, grain-free, or dry and wet food mixed? Don't ask just anyone, ask Maxi Zoo. We'll find exactly the right nutrition for your pet. Let us advise you in your local store. Find yours at maxizoo.ie. Maxi Zoo, Ireland's largest pet retailer.
Flanagan's massive half-price store clear-out sale starts this Saturday, 26th of March in Buncrana. 50% of Irish-made sofas, tables, beds, wardrobes, rugs and occasional furniture. Immediate delivery on everything. Furnish your home for half price. Don't miss out. www.flanagans.ie.
Business Matters in association with the Letterkenny IT Faculty of Business. Looking for a career in financial services? Consider the Level 9 MA in Governance, Compliance and Data Protection. Take the next step in your career and contact the Exec Ed Coordinator on 9186206 or email execed@lyit.ie today.
Okay, it's Wednesday. It's that time of the week again where we look forward to Highland Radio's Business Matters podcast. It's available for you today to listen to on our website, highlandradio.com. You can listen to previous editions as well, of course, on Spotify and iTunes. It's presenter Kieran O'Donnell is in studio with us. Kieran, how art thou?
Good morning, Greg. I'm good. How are you?
I'll stick a microphone up. Although you speak so loud, you can use mine as well by the sounds of things.
Is that right?
Aye. No, in a good way. It's a good projection of your voice. Okay, right. 50 new jobs for Letterkenny's CoLab facility. This was a good news story earlier in the week, wasn't it?
Very much, Greg. ZincWorks, a telecoms and financial services research and development company, has announced the establishment of a software engineering hub and CoLab facility on Letterkenny IT campus, creating 50 new jobs over the next 18 months. ZincWorks was founded in 2018 and currently employs 180 people at its head office in Athlone. The company's focus is primarily in research and development in telecommunications, particularly on 5G. So the project is being supported by the Irish government through IDA Ireland.
Yeah, I still don't really know what they do, but that's on me. It's not on them. I tried 3 times to get the owner to sort of explain what they did, and I kind of get it, but obviously it's in research and development in really upper end technology. Radio. A couple of housing reports came out which showed that Donegal house prices are only going one way at the moment, and that's upward. Kieran?
That's correct, Greg. The latest DAF.ie sales report shows house prices in Donegal in the first 3 months of 2022 were 22% higher than a year previously. compared to a rise of 3% seen a year ago. So the average price of a home is now €188,000. That's 65% above its lowest point, which is very notable. So according to Ireland's largest property website, the average listed price nationwide in the first quarter of 2022 was €299,000. That's up 8.4% on the same period in 2021, and just 19% below the Celtic Tiger peak. And notably as well, just 10,000 homes were listed for sale in March.
Yeah, and what I thought interesting too about that is, whilst the average house price is 188,000, that's all houses. They're a couple of years ago they were asking prices, right, and it didn't really give a firm indication, because people might take 178 for their 188 average price, but actually the houses are going above their list price in some cases as well.
They're going the north side very much of the asking price, and the gate price is very much more.
It's a very different market to what we're used to. Good news for Laura Boner.
Yeah, Greencastle's Laura Boner is one of 14 women who has been shortlisted as the Entrepreneur of the Year in this year's Image PwC Businesswoman of the Year Awards. The founder and CEO of Muff Liquor Company, she established the premium drinks brand in 2018 with her business partner Tom Russell.
All right, okay. Good news for the City of Derry Airport too.
Yeah, the City of Derry Airport has been allocated £3 million by the Department of Infrastructure in conjunction with the Department of Finance towards its running costs. So nationally, the funding has been welcomed across all political parties, and this allocation is being described as a timely boost to secure the airport's future and help to facilitate further growth.
Yeah, and that's what it needs. It needs further growth to be somewhat more self-sustainable and get back to where it used to be at. It's tough.
Yeah,
it's difficult. I think sometimes these airports get caught up in the politics of Ryanair as much as anything else, but the funding is good, but we want to get it back to to somewhere close to or ahead of where it used to be, Kieran.
And a difficult 2 years in the aviation sector, Greg. So hopefully that's the start of getting back up to where it was.
Okay, so we're not going to be calling the LYT anymore, I don't think, are we? Or are we? I haven't a clue.
We probably will for a while, but officially there are changes afoot. Letterkenny Institute.
We still call the road past our house the New Road. It's been there for
like 30 listen, there are things around the town we're calling them way back decades ago.
Oh, that's a Letterkenny thing, though.
Yeah, okay, thanks, Greg. Letterkenny Institute of Technology.
You say that town as if we're all supposed to know which town it is.
Will officially become part of Atlantic Technological University from Friday, April the 1st. That's along with GMIT and IT Sligo. The third level college is currently celebrating its 50th anniversary, and a record 5,000 students are enrolled at LYT for the current school year. So we had Paul Hannigan on before Christmas. Greg, and I was just doing a wee bit of research before I come on this morning. But he told me it's been renamed. It was originally called Letterkenny Regional Technical College, renamed Letterkenny IT in 1998, and it is worth the latest data €100 million annually to the local economy.
I mean, that's absolutely huge, especially with its interaction with local businesses and what have you. And who's to say where it's going to go with university status? Like, it's exciting times in the world of education, and often, Kieran, we don't see. It's not tangible. If I build a house, you can see the house. You know what I mean? But when we see a development in LYT, it's hard to say, right, that's what we've done. Now look at the result. Obviously people have done research as you were able to outline there, but I think it's going to be really, really good for the students and for the region as well.
And I suppose, look, it really puts into focus how important the college has been for both Letterkenny and the Northwest in terms of innovation, enterprise, business, employment, and more recent years, I suppose, the CoLab, and we had a story earlier on in relation to the CoLab. That's at full capacity now as well. So, good times at the minute.
Yeah, for sure. Right, okay, let's review the news. Thanks very much for that, Kieran, as always. Now, let's talk about this week's podcast.
Yes, Greg, on this week's Business Matters, I'm joined by Brendan Braddis O'Donnell, owner of the Glenties-based broadcasting and media company Braddis Video Productions. After leaving Glenties Comprehensive School, Brendan worked in the local Mcgreevy factory before embarking on a film production course in Tralee in 1996. In 2000, he set up his own company, and since then, he has become a well-known figure at sporting venues behind the camera throughout the country. As a documentary filmmaker, his work has taken him to Europe and the United States, where he is also enjoying building up a client base in the corporate sector. So during our conversation, Braddis talked about the people that had helped and supported him in getting his business up and running 22 years ago.
But my father was a huge, he always said, always work at what you love. He says, try and always do the job that you love. And I am blessed to say that I do that. I wouldn't even call it a job. I get excited about doing a job, no matter what it is. It might be tedious at times and you may have to wait around and all that, but I love it, and I have to thank my father for that, and my mother, and of course Michaela as well too. Like, you know, and as Brie mentioned earlier on, you know, there was another Francis Byrne, but also a guy in Danny Boyle in the town, you know, who used to be chairman of our GA club, and that Danny was a good help to me as well in terms of encouragement and certain things too, you know.
You mentioned your first photograph taken as a 4 or 5-year-old. Can you recall your first video or your first film that you shot?
It was the Harvest Fair. That was it. I'd done a few wee things around the house, just as when you get the camera. I would have filmed my mother and my father and some of the brothers and sisters, I would say, probably after the limelight. a recurring thing here, Kieran. But that would have been at the first kind of main thing I'd done was, and I kind of got it for the Harvest Fair, and I got that interest from going back to the Glanty's Video Club.
And you know what, Kieran, it's interesting to hear how people get into what they love and then maybe make a decision in their life and say, do you know what, this is something I'm passionate about, I'm going to pursue it. Remarkable to keep it going for a business going for 22 years. And I imagine over the course of that time too, you have to keep up with innovation and new technologies. And, you know, I don't know how long HD's been around, or streaming, or whatever it might be, or how you upload video and how you edit it. But, you know, it's an exciting field. It's it's constantly innovating.
Yeah, as you say, Brad, look, he found a job that he loves. He talked about his first photograph that he took as a 4 or 5-year-old. You mentioned equipment, and that's one of the things we talked about actually, was the change in equipment and how much can be done and how much technology has changed, that there's not big bags of equipment being taken around as much, and there's so much can be done with much smaller and much more modified equipment, Greg.
Yeah, indeed. It's going to be a fascinating interview, and you can hear it all, that full interview with Brendan Braddis O'Donnell. It's available now on our website. That's highlandradio.com. You can see it in the on-demand section, by the way. It's there alongside, you know, parts of this programme, the DL debate, the score, our documentary series. It's all there in the on-demand section of our website, highlandradio.com. You can also listen to it on Spotify and iTunes. And if you want to listen to the show as part of our scheduled programme here, Sunday's the day, isn't it, Kieran?
Yeah, Sunday evening, Greg, after the 6 o'clock news.
And if anyone wants to get in touch with you on the programme, how do they go about doing so?
Yeah, just drop an email, please. businessmatters@highlandradio.com.
Kieran, thank you very much as always. I really appreciate it and look forward to seeing you next Wednesday. And again, just to remind you that previous editions of that show are available for you to listen back on. Again, Kieran, thank you very much indeed. Okay.
Come on, Greg.
Now, Anne-Marie emailed us off the back of our chat with John. He's due to travel to Scotland via ferry with P&O next Tuesday. This caller, sorry, I know it's Anne-Marie via email. Donegal Travel advised yesterday that the Scottish route will not be sailing until at least including the 4th of April. Contact Donegal Travel in England. They're absolutely amazing to deal with. Good luck to your traveller. That comes in from Anne-Marie. Thank you very much indeed. Caller was in the breast clinic in Letterkenny, and it was the first time in a quarter of a century that she got the results on the day. Dr. Riley, who was in their short term, is making a big difference. Historically, you'd have to wait 6 weeks for your results to be issued to the doctor and the doctor to call you. We need a full-time radiographer who can provide this service all the time. Everyone working there at the moment deserves a round of applause for their hard work yesterday. Remarkable to get your results on the day. If you're asked to come in for training on your day off, are you entitled to get paid for that day? Well, listen, common sense would sort of suggest yes, unless it's in your contract. Greg, can you please mention that there is a free webinar with psychotherapist and parent alienation expert Karen Woodall? It's today at 6 p.m. Tickets are available free at alienated.ie. This will be very relevant to anyone who's interested in the public consultation about parental alienation that the government will be undertaking at the end of 2022. A caller says, pretty soon, no one in Ireland will need to work at all. 10 bank holidays, 10 sick days, 4-week holidays, throw the COVID excuse into the mix and no time to work, race to the bottom and certain recession. I think we work very hard in this country. Most of us work very hard, and I think it's only fair that we're treated fairly. If you're sick, you know, you're entitled to some pay from your employer. If you are sick, I would have thought. I don't think really workers have it handy. I know anyone around me or in my life, they work very, very, very hard. Very hard, and almost feel guilty sometimes when you chat to people out and about for taking time off. It's been revealed yesterday, says the texter, that the HSE collect €5 million from our hospital car parks annually. Where is that money going, and why is it not being used to open up more ICU beds or pay nurses better wages? Well, it's certainly not enough to do that, okay? Some of it's used to maintain the car parks because it's private companies that run them and develop car parking facilities, and the rest is used by the hospital in whatever way. I get where you're coming from, but look, €5 million is not. It'll open up maybe 4 beds nationally. I don't know, which is not insignificant, but it's nowhere near where we need to be. Hi, Greg. Just wondering if any listeners experience trouble with Vodafone coverage. I've spoken to a helpline call centre in Egypt, called numerous times to no avail. Vodafone shop no help either, said it will depend on the number of complaints they receive before action is taken. Tell us what kind of problem you're having and where you are, and maybe we can rally up a few. This caller says the problem with Ukrainian refugees is that they will get our benefits and not want to go home. Ireland is a benefit state and us working class are on our knees, can't take anymore. The government are completely out of touch. Listen, what I'll say to that is, I don't know if you've ever worked away from home, but I have. I worked over in London for a while, and it wasn't incredibly pleasant. I know how people can be treated just because you're from Ireland, the stereotypes that are put on us. And I went over there really recently. We went away to other countries in our hundreds of thousands, and we worked really, really hard, and we had to put up with really bad treatment sometimes by the nations that we went to, yet we contributed so much, and to some extent that's still actually ongoing now. We were accused of being this, that and the other, when often mostly what we were is really, really hard workers that contributed a lot, didn't ask for much in return, and built a lot of these countries. That we have this history now. For someone out there, I find it really quite upsetting actually that someone would paint an entire nation as one type of person, and believe that entire nation is coming over here to sponge. I don't know where or how that comes to pass. How people think like that, I don't understand it, or what drives it, or in what place they are. But we've been there. We've been the people, maybe not in some cases fleeing conflict. Let's not a lot of people would have left this country because of the conflict that was on this island for one reason or another. You could call them refugees, went over, worked very hard, treated badly in some cases, refused accommodation in other cases. We know our history. Why would we inflict it on other people? Why would we judge an entire nation like that? And it's not just one person that thinks that. Lots and lots of people think that. I think that's just really quite regrettable, but I respect your opinion enough, obviously, that I read out your message, by the way.
The 9 till noon show brought to you by Kelly's Toyota, Port Road, Letterkenny. Stockists of a wide range of used passenger and commercial vehicles.
Tune in this Thursday for all the latest farming news and views straight after the 5 p.m. news. Brought to you in association with Lifford Credit Union, who have recently launched Cultivate, an agricultural loan at only 6.55%, APR 6.75%. Call into any of their 3 offices for more information or to make an appointment. Lifford Credit Union, Rafo Newton Lifford, supporting local farmers.
Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us what. The Lotto jackpot is an estimated €3.5 million. Play responsibly in store, in-app or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
Donegal Hearing Clinic, now open at Pierce Road, Letterkenny and Buncrana, now offering state-of-the-art rechargeable hearing aids free with your PRSI. Also pain-free microsuction wax removal services. Call 07491 88470 or donegalhearingclinic.ie. Life sounds brilliant with Donegal Hearing Clinic.
Forward Emphasis International, based in Mallinhead, are actively recruiting for customer service advisors with both permanent remote working and hybrid opportunities available. Experience in contact centres or insurance services is desirable but not essential, as full training is provided. Fully funded financial services qualifications delivering attractive career path opportunities are available. Please visit their website www.forwardemphasis.ie or apply via their careers page.
This Saturday, Paul McDevitt will be live from Homeland Letterkenny to mark the start of their series of Super Saturday Garden events in April. Special guest Gareth Austin will hold a garden clinic with planting demos. Offers will include buy 2 get 1 free on shrubs and bedding, 20% off ceramic pots, garden tools, feeds and more. Someone will also win a Faro furniture set worth €350. All happening this Saturday at Homeland, Letterkenny's first Super Saturday Garden event.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Get ready to hit the beach and soak up the sun by choosing flights to Alicante, Barcelona, Faro, Mallorca, Malaga and Milan this summer with Ryanair. Ireland West Airport. You're flying.
Okay, so what we're seeing at the moment is cloudy conditions and showery rain spreading from the north. It's introducing much colder weather along with a freshening northeast breeze, though drier and brighter weather will follow for the late afternoon and evening, along with a few showers of rain or hail. Afternoon temperatures of just 5 to 8 degrees. Now, cold and frosty overnight with mostly clear skies. This means there'll be a few wintry showers around. Minimum temperatures of -3 to 0 degrees in moderate north-east breezes. Okay. Now, the Minister for Education, Norma Foley, has announced her ambitious, as she describes, plans for a reimagined senior cycle of education for post-primary students. Equity and excellence for all, where the student is at the centre of the senior cycle experience. The three tenets of senior cycle reform are to empower students to meet the challenges of the 21st century, enrich the student experience and build on what's strong in our current system, and embed well-being and reduce student stress levels, and therefore parents' and guardians' stress levels, I'd imagine. A former Education Minister, of course, comes in the shape of Deputy Joe McGreevy. He joins us now. Good morning to you, Joe. Thanks for taking the call.
Not at all. Good morning, Greg.
Right, so, I mean, obviously, it's heavily worded there, and I can understand that, but it doesn't make a great deal of sense to me. So I'm going to rely on you to explain what you view as the key changes that we're going to see in our education system for this cohort going forward.
Well, I suppose in the first instance, there'll be 40% continuous assessment over 5th and 6th year, and then for paper 1 in both Irish and English, there's going to be an exam in 5th year. So basically, the leaving cert starts proper in 5th year, where there's actually going to be an exam in both those subjects at the end of the year. The big thing here is to follow through on what's been happening over the last 2 years in terms of continuous assessment. The student really is at the heart of this decision, because there has been a long call and a strong recognition that there's been a high stress factor involved at the very end. So look, and I know there's going to be a need for a consultation now with the teachers, and those conversations will now start at Easter at the conferences of the TUI and the ASTI. Mm-hmm. So we'll need to hear the voice of the teacher and how this works out.
So that's a good question, because in terms of continuous assessment, 40% of exam marks in all subjects will be attributed to continuing assessment. Like, is that regular exams, or is that the opinion of teachers?
Well, look, that's a detail that needs to be worked out. But if you look at continuous assessment, that's already been happening within history, Leaving Cert history. There's project work. There's a percentage for that. The Leaving Cert oral for Irish is 50%, and you also have continuous assessment in the new subjects for computer science and PE. So there is
there's benchmarks in those areas, though. I mean, what we want to avoid, though, is the fact that this comes down to interpretation, don't we? In other words, whether or not a school particularly wants their students to excel because it looks good for them, or, dependent on just a mood of a teacher or what she likes to see. We hear football pundits or boxing pundits, they like attacking over defence, or vice versa. So how do we ensure, and pardon me if the question's ignorant, how do we ensure that, personality or, ambition does not influence it dependent on your teacher or which school you're in?
Yeah, look, there has to be a standard, and that's why the State Examination Commission will be really involved in this, because that's where the standard will be measured. Teachers were always afraid, even when the continuous assessment came in 2 years ago, they were afraid of that measurement and, not being put into a corner themselves in relation to that. So there will have to be detail worked out to ensure that all students in all schools are protected from an equality point of view, and as you say, personalities aren't brought into it.
And I'm not in any way questioning schools or teachers, but that could be the fear, whether it's justified or not. We had a real opportunity maybe and there's been calls for it forever, to look at the system, look at maybe not just 5th and 6th year, maybe the entire secondary part of a person's education. If we are going to make some changes, do you believe these go far enough? This is what Norma Foley thinks, but what does Joe McHugh think?
Well, look, I think it's a good first step. I do believe we can go further, but look, sometimes we have to, make incremental steps before we go further. But one thing I'm picking up from a lot of principals throughout the country from different, feedback from the last 2 years, that there is a change in the relationship in the Leaving Cert classes where maybe the teacher, the top-down relationship between teacher at the top and the students at the bottom, that has been equalised because students obviously rely on the teacher in terms of the continuous assessment. So there has been a development in the maturity of the relationship. So I think it's important that we continue to hold that as well, and that the teachers do build on the experiences, the rich experiences that they've had in the last 2 years. So their voice is going to be critical as we try to.
And the student voice too, because you talked about and the absence of you not saying doesn't mean it's absent, but you talked about the consulting with teachers. I think more so than ever now, students have a voice. They've always had a voice, but they have a voice on their education and the direction of it. Presumably the Minister will engage with students, not to do precisely what they say, but certainly to take on board what they feel and craft this in a way that everyone feels like they've got to win.
Yeah, and there is a formal mechanism for that. The students have a place at the table where the stakeholders meet at a secondary level, so that voice will have to be listened to very attentively, and also we have to look at what's happening within the junior side. There is a debate out there as to the changes and how that is impacted in terms of education. So there's going to be a review completed on that, and that should be due shortly.
And what do you think needs to be done there? Because it feels very separate, especially with transition year in there, that you have the first 3 years, then the junior cert, or as you might remember it, Joe, the intercert. Then you have the and me. Then you have, of course, transition year. Then the big push on in 5th and 6th. When you talk about how that might change or reform, are we talking about maybe something more continuous throughout the 6 years someone might be in secondary school?
Yeah, I think, look, there is some people would argue that the junior cycle is a dumbing down of the old system, but look, the old system had its faults as well. So it's how to prepare those students now that will be going into Leaving Cert in 5th year in 2024 who will be doing 2 papers in 5th year, that they're ready for it and equipped for that intensity of the Leaving Cert. And I think that review is going to point to that continuity. And I do
think it's important where transition year sits in there as well, because some people might choose not to do it, some might, and I don't know. But anyway, I'm sure all that's going to be looked at. Drama, film, and theatre studies. That's going to be an actual subject.
Yeah, drama, film and theatre studies, and there's going to be a subject on sustainable development and climate change. And look, these are the issues that the young people globally and obviously locally within the school system in our own country that have been pushing these agenda items, and the way the world of business is moving, and even with what's happening in Ukraine at the moment and what's happening in terms of energy dependence, that there's going to be a massive fast tracking to sustainable energy forms. So we need this young generation leading from the front, and they're the people that's going to be changing the world we live in.
Joe, thanks for your time this morning. I appreciate it greatly. That's the former Minister for Education, Deputy Joe McHugh there. I just want to mention before I go that you still have an opportunity, by the way, to get your ticket to win the holiday of a lifetime. It could be one single holiday, it could be numerous holidays. It's a €10,000 travel voucher for you. Now you can go back and forwards, fleeting all over the place many times, or you could book that trip of a lifetime. Maybe it is to take the young ones to, where's that place that Santa lives, the North Pole, or it could be Florida or Paris or whatever it is. You'll have 10 grand to decide what you want to do, and then whilst you're there you'll have €5,000 cash in your pocket to spend. We're doing this in association with Atlantic Travel. One of you can win this great prize worth 15 grand to be wherever you want to be. All you have to do to be in with a chance of winning it, by the way, is to go onto our website highlandradio.com. You'll see a box there saying win a holiday. Click on that and buy your tickets if you wish. The tickets are €10 for one. They get cheaper the more you buy. You can get 6 for 50 if you want to gift them out, or 10 for €80. Now, the closing date for entries is Wednesday the 13th of April, which is fast approaching, little over 2 weeks away. And we'll make the draw live on this show on the 14th of April, so we're looking forward to that as well. So you can make your dream a reality with Highland Radio, okay? So jump on, grab your tickets now if you want to be in with a chance of winning. John Bresson is coming up around the Northwest very shortly.